life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another. You ever think the universe was against you? Fear, belief, love. Phenomena that determine the course of our lives. These forces begin long before we are born and continue after we perish.
Our lives are not our own. We are bound to others, past and present. And by each crime and every kindness, may birth our future.
How long did you go again?
I believe there is another world waiting for us, a better world. And I'll be waiting for you there.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
I gotta wait for the cool voice until
Right?
he goes at OutlawRadioNetwork.com because it makes me think, oh, if Kevin
Check
was
one,
here, right?
.com.
That's right. We don't have to say the .com thing and watch him have a coronary. Anyway,
Should I yell stop it when .com comes up just so we don't feel like we're missing Kevin?
No,
I think that's really no.
No.
You sure?
No.
no,
'cause I-
it's so nice
Because
without the drama.
Because I hear you and I hear it in
drama.
your voice every chance you get to say .com
Well,
and then
stop it.
Kevin yells and you giggle. So I'm just saying,
Hey, I'm just promoting the website, the merch.
There you go.
You know,
absolutely. Speaking
Stop it! Yeah. See, did it work?
Yeah, well,
But
you're
the-
close.
Okay.
You're close.
That's
but you're right. I do giggle because it gets under Kevin's skin. And what's better than that? Because we were just talking
Apparently, giving him underwear that dissolve in water is better than that.
about that.
what's
Well,
sorry.
we did not do that.
So, no,
that
no,
was his
no.
Vegas trip.
No, but listen, every time he talks about Vegas, and God bless you, Kevin, and thank you for not being here tonight. But every time you talk about Vegas and how
Oh.
you're out 6 months till my next trip to Vegas, 5 months till my next, then you get down to the days after 60, 52 days until I go. We love you and we want you to have a good time on your trip. We just don't need to live vicariously through you. So
Agreed.
enjoy your trips to Vegas. Stop bragging to us about it. It makes us incredibly jealous. So
Yeah.
Outlaw Radio Network, thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to have a little bit of fun. While the cat is
Mhm.
away, the mice will play. Only this time we happen to have a badass guest in here in studio with us tonight. Sitting to my, I'm going to skip over the guest for 1 second as I introduce, I'm not calling you Black Tom, okay?
Okay.
It's just, I don't know why. It just doesn't sit right with me.
You're the one who came up with the nickname.
I know, and I feel bad about it. It's like, racial appropriations or something, man. I just shouldn't do it.
It's not racial at all.
Kevin called me on the phone. I
It's
gotta
my
tell you guys
pirate
this.
status.
It's your pirate status.
It's my pirate status.
He called me
Pirate
on,
Tom.
yeah.
Arr.
Arr.
Anyway, so we were talking
Yeah.
about I don't even remember what
You
word
and
got
Kevin.
through. Sacagawea or something like that. And I
Oh,
told him, I
no.
said, you can't use certain words, Kevin. It's racial appropriations. He's like, I'm Native American. I can use the word if I want to. And I said, but
It wasn't
you're only
squaw,
you're,
was it?
You're only 1,027th. You're like you're like the lady.
Ouch.
You're like that senator or congresswoman or whoever she is.
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
look, he's calling you now. I'm
Senator
joking.
Pocahontas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun aside. So next to Black Tom over here, kind of coming around the backside, you might see the back of her head. If she puts her hand in the air, she'll wave a little bit. You've got that parade wave down, Lori. You really
Hey, I
do.
was a cheerleader. I had to walk in parades, pom poms. Yeah.
So that's where you learned it. That's
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
good thing. I'm just
Yeah.
going to point this out, right? Because
Mhm.
we have a long history in Kitsap County in radio and in politics
Mm-hmm.
of riding in parades and not getting paid. And it is a cool thing to
wow,
do.
he's not even here, and you're
And-
bringing it up.
And, well,
Sounds
I mean,
better.
Did you show Paul the picture
the picture.
Oh.
from Sunday?
Oh no,
The
I
picture,
didn't.
you have a cool picture from
oh,
Sunday.
I do. I
You-
do.
and make sure you break it out. If it's family friendly, you can even show it on the video camera up there. So she's gonna.
It's family friendly, but it's not mine.
We don't want to risk
To
any
own.
lawsuits. I was playing
That's
around.
too funny. So we're gonna take a look here at the picture that holding. Okay, that's funny. That is funny. I hope that's a live
It's not
web
live.
page. It's not live. Well, that's
No.
too bad. Because I love that, and maybe we'll put that on our page a little bit later, so you can all understand what we're having some fun and laughing about. So Phil is behind the spit-proof glass, so no matter what I do, I can't hit him with a loogie or anything else. So good evening, Phil. It's nice to see you over there. And directly to my left, sitting center stage for a very good reason, is Chris Gergen. Now, Chris, I want you to know, I specifically asked Kevin because he was hyping you up to me. Now, I don't need you to live up to the hype. That's okay.
That's good.
But what I got to tell you
No
is
pressure.
he led me down this road, and I'm like, well, does dude have like a page or something that I could go to where I could learn about him, like all the deep, rich, dark details, And Kevin literally was like, nope, you got to take my word for it all. So rather than try to remember it because I'm Polish and can't, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do a little bit of introducing to yourself.
Okay.
Because at least the way you were described to me, I'm going to suggest to the listening audience you're a bit of a political heavyweight. And if Kevin was sitting there, he would think I was making fun of his weight. I'm not. Say political heavyweight, because you carry some clout here
Well, I
locally.
appreciate that.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I own a company called Dark Horse Political. And
Dark Horse.
Yeah, Dark Horse Political. And I started in politics just knocking doors. Long time ago when Bob Dole was running for president.
When Moby Dick was a minnow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Back when they had wooden ships and iron men.
Right.
Long time ago.
Right back when Viagra suddenly became a commercial.
Right.
Sorry, Bob.
No, absolutely. And, I got involved because I felt like it was important. Right. And I was a kid. I would think I was like 19 years old. And it was just something that I volunteered. It was, it wasn't necessarily my professional job, but it was something that I continued to do even during my time in the Navy. And then I got tired of the finance business. I was a financial planner for the better part of a decade, and then decided that I hated my boss, and I didn't like it was like a Groundhog Day every month.
Right.
You go from being the star to being zero.
Right.
Every month, and I just got tired of it.
Yeah.
And so I had a falling out with my boss, and the next day I started Dark Horse Political, and that was 9 years ago. So next year will be 10 years. My first big client was Donald Trump. I was the
hold on. You went from working in the financial field, just got a wild hair up your backside, and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to try something totally different." And you got into political consulting work, and your first client was Donald Trump.
Well, my first large client. So I had worked on many campaigns, and I had been a candidate, for a number or for one cycle prior to me starting this company. And back then, I was a company guy. Like
okay.
I was a Republican, and I mean I'm still a conservative, but I was like a company guy.
Okay.
Like a Republican guy. And then the minority leader in Oregon screwed me over in my race. And I was like, maybe all the stories that other people say aren't exactly the way that it all turned out.
Gotcha.
And so I started to see really how the sausage was made on some things. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to allow the party to screw over anybody else like it did me. And so I'm going to start a firm that represents people. And listen, I don't mind working with the party when the party wants to work with me and be straight. I have a lot of great friends. Dave McMullen, the chairman over in
love Dave, great guy.
He's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's been down to Vegas to see my wife and I. He and his wife have come down. We've had dinner. Like I like Dave a lot. And there are some.
He's easy to like. Props to you. He's easy to like. Yeah, for sure.
He is, and I have some very good friends that are in the party and party people. But then there are other people involved in the party that are maybe there for other reasons.
Yeah.
And
schmarmy.
Right?
I get you. Yeah.
And so in 2015, I started Dark Horse Political in April of 2016. Literally about a year to the day after I started the company, I got asked by the state director that was running Mr. Trump's campaign in Oregon if I would come along and be the statewide political director. And
nice pop,
so
man.
yeah, so we ran that. We won that election, and then into the general. I think it was Bud Pierce was running for governor in Oregon, and he came out and endorsed Hillary Clinton. The Republican endorsed Hillary Clinton, and
What?
yeah, and Donald
a whole
Trump.
story right
it's
there.
Oregon.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and so
But
I
still.
thought Washington was weird.
and so
Right.
uh,
Too much granola.
so Mr. Trump's group, we didn't need Oregon to win the presidency,
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the state director got sent up to Michigan to be the chief of staff, and then I got sent to Florida to do some stuff on the ground down there. And it's been a whirlwind ever since, doing it full time.
A
And,
bang up job for you, man. That is, and I, from personal experience, right? And I'm sure you've learned this when you go to start a business,
Mhm.
especially from scratch,
Mhm.
like you're jumping into a whole new field.
Yep.
It's terrifying,
It's
It is.
hard.
especially
it's
with
hard.
a family,
Yeah.
right?
because
Yeah.
you're static, and the first few months, I was living off of savings and stuff
Yeah.
that I had,
Mhm.
and then
You're lucky.
right, yeah, absolutely, I was, but you gotta work, you gotta get out there and you gotta hustle and you gotta shake the trees, and there's a movie, one of my favorite movies is Glengarry Glen Ross,
Man of taste.
and so when Alec Baldwin says coffee's for closers, right, and that's because what he's talking about is you got to go out there and hustle,
Yes.
Mhm.
right, you got to do the work.
Yep.
And so if you'll do the work as a consultant or as just an operator on the ground in politics, or if you're a candidate and you go out there and you do the work, you're going to win more times than not. You're not going to win them all. Nobody wins them all,
For sure.
but you got to do the work. Don't lose because you sat at home.
You know what you're saying is so true, and I hope anybody who's thinking about running for office listens to this. The best advice you'll ever get. And we talked about it here many times when Mayor Greg Wheeler beat Patty Lent in the city of Bremerton, because she was wonderful.
Mhm.
We saw her everywhere. Every event, didn't matter what it was, she was always there. But he wanted it more, and he worked more, and he knocked on more doors,
Yep.
and it won it for
Yep.
him, hands
Mhm.
down. And so, just to apply that to what you're saying, anybody who's listening right now is ever thinking about this, right? You got to want it. You got to hustle. Keyword there.
Yeah,
Yep.
but you got to be personable too. And I mean, Wheeler's a really personable guy.
You think so?
Yeah, he's easy to talk to. I mean, you don't have to agree.
He is easy to talk to. Yes, I will give you that.
Yeah,
But he's,
What's your thought on that, Paul?
I love you, Greg. Try not to be so stiff, but he's a good guy. I do like him.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a difference between just being personable and then your political convictions.
Right. Like
Right.
paying
Yeah.
kids to march in your parade.
Oh,
What?
Well,
Nothing.
like I'll give you an example. Like Lauren Cole, who's a good friend of mine. I ran Lauren's campaign in 2020.
Dug that guy, man.
And the thing about Lauren is Lauren's not a political person.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, clearly. If you just scroll through
Yeah.
social media, but Lauren is not a political guy. But to know Lauren, to actually know him, is to love him.
Yeah,
He's just a good guy. What you see with Lauren is what you get.
that's cool.
And he and I disagree on several things. Even this gubernatorial race, he and I are on completely different pages on that. But he's just a guy that you just want to like. And the people that don't like him, I have found, don't know him.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Right? They have other, they don't like him politically. They have certain gripes with him. But the people that actually know him like him, and that's why so many people flock to him. I mean, during the governor's campaign, we would stay 2-3 hours afterwards taking pictures with people.
Yes.
Lines. People stood in lines for hours to take a picture with a guy from Republic, Washington, in the middle of frigging nowhere.
Yeah.
That like came out of the blue, and they just fell in love with the guy because of his conviction. And I think that is that's infectious. When people see that you're authentic and that you're real,
Yes.
they're like, that guy's telling me the truth. Because you guys know, like, you know when somebody's lying to you.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Especially a politician.
And when we joke, but there's a hint of truth behind every joke, right? So we joke that within the first 2 times we interview people that are running for office, we can tell you if they're going to win or lose.
Sure.
Because it's how they carry themselves, their mannerisms, how they speak to people. It's not so much what they say, it's how they say it, really.
Sure.
And if somebody goes up there and just keeps repeating the same line over and over again, you are not cut out for this. You're just not. And not everybody is. Very few people are.
That's a fact.
Right. So it's just, you just get the feel for it.
Yeah.
You're there, I'm sure. And you just,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to work with a candidate that you're like, yeah, dude. So Burger King before this, right? Okay.
Right.
Maybe try Taco Bell now.
70% of human communication is nonverbal.
Sure.
Right. So
Yeah.
I mean, when you're just talking on a microphone, it's actually more difficult.
Sure.
'Cause
You just clarified something for me, Tom, because my
What's that?
wife used that same line. She said, "You realize most of human communication is nonverbal." I said, "Oh,
it's
okay."
true.
She said, "Gee, you didn't need the drugs." Horrible joke. I love you, dear. Hope you have a safe drive home from work.
Oh,
It's only a 5-hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happens when your wife works in Bellingham and you live in Gig Harbor.
What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have some wild stories sometimes.
Every day
Wait.
she does that?
No, she
No.
stays up there,
Oh, okay.
rents a place up there during the week, and then drives back on the weekends. But
Gotcha.
she's a controller for a couple of automobile companies, and she just finished month end, so she gets to come home early this week. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So it's good. I'll get a honeydew list this weekend. Looking
Yes,
forward to
you
that.
will.
yeah.
Well, it's Mother's Day, and by the way, for those of you that may not have remembered, if you have kids with your wife, and probably even if you don't, we know how that stuff works these days.
Oh,
Take your wife, take your moms, go do something with them. I don't know what you guys are all doing. I'm taking my wife to the horse races, so something that
Nice.
she's never
Those are
been before.
fun.
Yes,
nice.
Those are fun.
yes,
When-
absolutely
Yeah.
fun.
Out
A
at
blast.
Emerald
Downs.
Downs. Yeah. Those
Yeah.
are
She
fun.
loves horses.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we got a couple horses ourselves. They've just never been, so we're gonna go and have fun. Something she's never done before. So.
Mother's Day is special though, right?
It
you know,
is.
because they say you always know who the mother is. The dad, maybe not. So mothers, they get the special day.
He doesn't mean that, Kevin. He doesn't mean it. Sorry, man, if you're listening. It was another Navy guy that said that. Okay, so cut me some slack. So just out of curiosity, before we go any further, what was I know in the Navy they don't have an MOS. In the Army we have a military occupational skill, our job, right? So
Yep.
what was your job in the Navy?
Yeah, I was called an electronic warfare operator. I used to fly on EP3s.
Okay.
And I was an air crewman. I was stationed at Whidbey Island, Washington.
Okay.
And yeah.
Oh,
I
so you
joined-
got to know the area pretty well then while you're up there.
Yeah,
You're not you weren't in the plane that left that big symbol in the sky over Whidbey, were you?
the
You see his eyes light up? He's like, oh, that
no. Yeah. I
Oops.
cannot say whether or not I was
You can't confirm or
I cannot
deny.
yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot confirm nor deny. Yeah.
No, I feel you. That my
But whoever did that is a legend
Right?
in their community.
Yes.
You're like, oh, aren't you that guy that drew that big beep in the sky?
yeah, there's probably like 15 people are all that know who did it, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I can absolutely feel that. Somebody, they had that new Top Gun movie that came out, and somebody
That was a
took
good movie.
there's a little clip from that movie where Ed Harris's character is talking to Tom Cruise, and he's talking about his experience, and he says, "You should be an admiral by now, and you're still a captain, right?" And then somebody cut
Why
in
is
a
that?
picture of that symbol over Whidbey Island. And when he says, "And why is that?" He's like, "It's one of God's mysteries."
Yeah.
He did a little pitch. Anyway, I was like,
That's great.
that is so funny. And if you don't live up here, you probably don't get it. But it was
Oh,
the funniest
that's
thing ever.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So let's get in a little bit. Let's take a look at the scene here in Washington State.
Okay.
I'm thinking, let's kind of go back. Let's start with your impressions of the glory that was the Republican Party state convention. Can we start there?
Sure.
Okay. No
Yeah.
grenades. I'm not pulling any
No, no,
pins.
no.
Let's just get it out. Let your feelings flow. Tell us what you thought.
Yeah, I mean the conventions are typically messy affairs anyway. I was just at the Nevada State Convention just last weekend with my wife, and
Votes
and
counted okay down there?
The votes were counted well. Yes, they were.
But quick question. So, Dark Horse, all you do is conservative work.
That's
correct?
it.
Okay.
That's it. Yep.
All right. So you're party specific for your clients.
Not necessarily party specific as much as I am principle specific. Like I have a couple hard stops. I don't work with clients that are not constitutionalists,
Okay.
and I don't work with clients that aren't pro life.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
And
bless
so
you.
I'm a staunch, and that's a hard stop for me.
Sure.
Like I can love everything about you as a candidate,
Mhm.
but if you're pro-choice, I can't work with you.
Okay.
It doesn't mean we can't go have a beer.
Sure.
It just means that I can't work with you.
Okay.
And so that was a business decision for me, and
Yep.
and it was a moral decision for me, and so that was one of those things where I was just like, kind of a hard stop. But I'm big on the Second Amendment. All the amendments I'm big on, right, as a constitutionalist, but
I'm not more than one than the other, okay?
but the second is the one that comes under most attack, at least most often, right? And then obviously due process is a big thing with me, right?
Yeah.
And
Hey, they're all important.
they are,
Yeah, like you
free
said.
speech and the whole Constitution is coming under attack, and so I'm a limited government guy. The smaller, the better. I think
love that.
Preach.
size matters, and
Yeah.
and it just
Smaller
does.
is better.
Reverse in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah,
Smaller is better.
And government, with government, it is smaller the better. And I think the footprint of the federal government and state governments is exceedingly too big, in my most humble opinion.
Couldn't agree more.
And I think we're overtaxed. At the end of the day, we're just kind of free range humans that are farmed for our tax money.
You sure you're not a libertarian?
And so I have a lot of libertarian leanings. I really do.
Okay.
So anyway, those are kind of clients that I look for, clients that are solid, clients that are rock solid conservatives that aren't squishy. And, I think that, it's easy to say, well, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm a social liberal. Okay. Sure. And there are a lot of Republicans in Washington state that kind of frame themselves that way because they feel like, Washington is a center left state.
Yep.
And it legitimately is.
It is. Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they project the fact that you can't have conservative social values and also win. And so this is why I think that they believe that way, is because they suck on the stump. They don't know how to campaign. They don't know how to properly structure and articulate their arguments for conservative positions.
It's hard to do that. I mean, you've seen the numbers,
tough.
right?
Yeah.
Especially here. You can't go out here and just appeal to conservatives and compete in the whole state.
That's a
right.
fact.
So you have to reach across that aisle a bit,
true.
but not too far
Right.
to win. I mean, I don't know what the numbers look like. What do you think in a statewide race? How far across that line do you feel that a conservative candidate would have to reach? What percentage per se do you have to be able? Is it 5%?
No, I mean, if a conservative is going to win in Washington State, or I wouldn't even say conservative, if a Republican is going to win in Washington State, they're gonna win a 51-49 race.
Okay, so
they're gonna win.
You're
like
feeling
a
pretty good. This got to
52.
be. It could be tight, and they could still win it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's if they win, it'll be tight. Right.
And we have to keep our eyes out for
I mean,
suitcases. But
yeah, no, exactly. But the thing is that Republicans, they play scared, they play small. They're not a governing party. They're a minority party,
right?
Because they've been conditioned to be
100%. That's a beautiful thing you just said. I like
that. So being conditioned to be that way, their mentality and their philosophy is that way. And for me, it's weak. And
you're correct. Weak, I think, is an appropriate description.
And so my style and my company and kind of our approach to things is we are exceedingly aggressive.
Oh, I dig it. Hey, we're going to go to break. We're going to stay with us on Facebook. We're going to take the chains off. Oh, that makes me feel like Biden. Sorry for that use of the word. Anyway, Outlaw Radio Network. We'll be back after this. Put y'all back in chains. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what the quote was. Something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say it. I'm quoting Joe Biden.
Right.
It's just the
That
reference.
guy's the worst.
I'm raising pancakes.
It is.
Even Democrats don't like him.
Oh,
yeah, they
Lord,
don't.
I went.
No, they don't. Even Democrats don't like run of the mill, garden variety.
No, you're
even some of the leadership is like calling for him to step down.
Yeah.
I had a unique experience today. I went to see a client, full dyed in the wool, blue Democrat, all the stickers on his car. Like, you're not going to lie to me, dude. I mean, you've marked yourself, right? All over your car. And I get out there and I'm taking a look at his house and we're talking about all the stuff he's got to do, and he was telling me some ideas. Somehow we got on the topic of radio and we started talking about political radio and stuff like that. And he looks at me and he goes, man, because I cannot bring myself to vote for Joe Biden. He goes, I can't vote for Trump, but he's like, that dude ain't even sleeping in bed with his own wife, right? And he's like, who would do that? If that's your wife, how could you ever be like, okay, dear, you sleep in that bed and I'll sleep in this one? And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, dude slept with a porn star. But, I mean, I don't know.
But you're assuming that's his choice. Maybe it's her choice.
It absolutely may be.
Maybe it's like, sweetie, I'm sleeping over there.
Yeah.
No, you can sleep here.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
I would assume
Pretty
that
sure
it's her
it
choice.
is.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
it was a shocker in Washington State because you just almost never hear a Democrat in this state openly acknowledge that the head of their party is not necessarily their go-to person, right?
Well, he's going to be here Friday, Saturday.
Who is?
Biden.
Oh, Biden is?
Yeah.
No.
Well, if we
5
fart,
seconds.
we'll
That's
probably
what I
miss it.
saw. That's what I saw in the news.
Yeah, no,
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
It's okay.
I think you got the finger.
I know, I did.
Yeah.
It's an odd feeling. I'm telling you
I
right now.
know,
I mean, it's
right?
like one trip to the proctologist. Next thing you know, you get the finger in the studio, and things go south from there. Anyway, that's all right. Hey, thanks for joining us. Coming back again with us, Outlaw Radio Network. We have Chris Gergen in studio, and we're talking some good old-fashioned politics in Washington State, and how jacked up sideways it is. And I remind people on a regular basis that if you have any complaints about anything whatsoever in the state of Washington, and I mean anything, feel free to blame Democrats. They've controlled everything since 1988. So you can't point a finger at Republicans. Not their fault. So,
well, we can on certain things,
Well,
like
yeah,
the
you
gas
can.
tax.
You can.
Like the gas tax.
I'm trying to kind of like make Republic. I mean, like, really? He's like, just hold on. Let me put the bus in reverse, Paul. Lay down right there.
Let's back over him, because you know what? That's how we fix it, is you hold them accountable.
How do you I don't want to twist
After
that.
action review, you
yes,
learn from
let's do
your
that.
mistakes.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll do an after action review on that specific topic, and tell me in a second when we're done kind of talking about the other stuff.
Okay.
I'm curious how you attack that for one of your clients, right? Like, because they're going to get questions about it, right? What are we, the third highest gas tax in the nation? Yeah.
Oh, only third now?
Yeah.
We were one.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no,
it's a
no
question that comes
sarcasm.
up, right?
Sure.
It is absolutely a question that will come up on the stump, and people are going to get it. So you know, I'm curious how you coach them into handling that. And it's going to be fascinating. So anyway, let's get back to the Republican convention. This is the problem with radio, folks. You get going tangents.
So the convention was, I think Jim Walsh did a fairly good job at organizing what he had, right? Because conventions are a lot like herding cats. It really is. You just kind of, you don't ever herd them. They just kind of get them going in the same general direction. That's about the best you can hope for.
Gotcha.
But it was the caucus was kind of meant to, or the convention was kind of meant to be, Semi's people went there with one agenda, right? And you know, I likened it, I think last time I was here on the show, or maybe it was another show I was on, but I talked about how it was literally winning the door prize to the Super Bowl. Like, you like, who freaking cares? Who freaking cares? You got the nomination, big freaking deal. You know, Lauren didn't have the nomination. Lauren didn't have the backing of the party. Lauren didn't have any of the big money people. We raised $3.3 million out of the grassroots, you know, which was about half of what we needed, but it was still $3.3 million with no help whatsoever. And then so Semi's plan is to go in and capture the party that doesn't have any money anyway.
Right.
For what?
Yeah.
Like, money's going to magically, like, where does he think the money's going to come from?
Yeah. Feel good moment. But doesn't that kind of show the inexperience?
Well, not only that, it's just delusion. It's just delusion. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I have been highly critical of him. I had a conversation with him back in February about making a pivot. And I told him, I'm like, dude, this is done for you, bro. Like, if you don't have a huge March and a huge April, this is all done. Like, you need to pivot now while you can. We need to have Reichert, who, by the way, is not a conservative, not my favorite guy.
Yeah, heard that a lot. Yeah.
But you know what? If I was a Washington resident, I would vote for him 1,000 out of 1,000 times over Bob Ferguson.
1,000%.
Right.
It's some people don't. It doesn't click for them. I don't understand.
I don't care if I don't agree with him on shit. If I don't agree with him on 80% of things, but it's 20% I do agree with him on. Ferguson, I agree with him on 0% of things.
That's right. Yep.
And so I got to choose this. And so there's this unrealistic view that I see a lot of people on the hard right, especially, to where they need uniformity. They talk all about freedom, but then they don't allow people of the members of their own party to have freedom to believe anything differently than what they believe.
Listen, what you just said is the holy grail of conversations that I've been having for years with Republicans in Washington State, right? you hear Republicans in the state go off half-cocked about the purple Republicans, right?
Right.
You're not conservative enough, or you're not a conservative. And it's like, who really defines it? I've heard people, I tell them, I'm fiscally conservative. And like, you're a conservative. No, there's a difference. I mean,
Right.
am I? Yeah, to me, I am. But to a lot of other people, I'm not,
Right.
know? And so it just drives me crazy. My wife left social media because she was a Culp supporter, and she got blasted.
Yeah.
By people because she didn't support Freed because she supported Lauren Culp. And she was like, I don't need this. And she just, closed off, shut down all of her accounts.
Right.
They were brutal during the Culp
Yeah.
campaign, just brutal. And we're starting to see that again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And it brings a tear to my eye.
Except now it's in reverse.
Yes.
Now it's in reverse. Now it's the semi people, being really, really hostile.
They're attacking
And,
like a mother.
to Riker.
To Riker people.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that Riker people don't get in there and say their stuff, but
right.
I've remained fairly neutral and tried to, even though I've been openly opposed to Semi's candidacy in general. I just think he sucks as a candidate, and I think his campaign is being run horribly, and there isn't anything that's credible about it or him.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have the resume, and you might say, well, neither did Lauren. But Lauren had the hearts and minds of the people, and Lauren was there because the people asked him, because he was the one that stood up, the law enforcement officer that stood up after 1639 and gave the middle finger to the governor and said, I'm not going to enforce your unconstitutional law in this county. Right. And so that won the hearts and minds of the people.
It did.
Right. Before he was even doing anything political.
Yep.
Right. And so then when he decided to run, it was organic. It wasn't manufactured. So
100%.
Semi runs for school board, wins a school board race, which is admirable. Clap, clap, clap. But then he gets recalled in a red district. How do you get recalled in a red district when you're a conservative?
I don't know how anybody gets recalled off the school board to begin with. But.
And then in a red district, so you're a conservative who got recalled in a deeply red district. Not kind of red, not squishy red,
not pink.
Right. This is a deep red. So he gets recalled, and his campaign has never been credible. He's not run anything with any sort of excellence. And I had a conversation with him. I'm like, you need to pivot out of that. You need to pivot to lieutenant governor's race. If you do that, I will consider working for you and making you a legitimate candidate. Because then it would give conservatives a top of the ticket 1-2 punch because at that point in February we had nobody running for lieutenant governor. I don't even think we do have a conservative in or
I don't
Republican,
think so. Yeah.
Right. And so
is he running his own campaign then?
He is now. Yeah. Well, his leadership style is command and control.
Yes.
And so my leadership style is directly opposite of that. What I do is I assess you, I work with you, I watch you, I assess your skill level and your ability to lead and to manage, and then I give you a task and I'm like, call me later when you're done. Or if you need help, right? Here's the resources you need, scurry along.
Yeah.
Right. And I let you show me what you have. And if you fail, cool. Now I know where your limitations are.
Yeah.
Right. But he manages the manager. Candidates have two jobs: shake hands and raise money. That is it. That is all you do. You shake hands and you raise money. You make your phone calls. He wasn't making his calls. I told his initial consultant he needs to be making calls. And he's like, well, I just convinced somebody to make 200 calls a month. And I was like, 200 a month? He needs to be making 200 a day.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's not going to happen. And I was like, well, what's his plan? Quote unquote. Semi believes we need to hand out more envelopes. And I told him, man, there are not enough envelopes on this blankety blank planet to raise the money that you need to raise.
Join Valpak.
People throw that stuff in their recycle bins.
Yes.
No one reads that.
No, absolutely. And the thing about handing out, hey, listen, we love to have your support. Here's an envelope, fill that out, put some cash in it, send it back or give it back. Okay, well, that isn't how fundraising is done.
Right.
Fundraising is belly button to belly button, eyeball to eyeball. And hey, Bob, Chris Gergen, how are you? Listen, I'm running for governor. As you may have heard. Oh, yes, I heard. What are your thoughts on that? You think it's a good idea? Great. Absolutely. We really appreciate your support. Hey, listen, as you know, it's probably going to be about $6-7 million lift. Can you help us with 4,800 of that, and then shut up. And you do that over and over and over and over again until you raise the money that you need.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I'm digging this conversation, and I'm gonna kind of geek out here for a second. You talked about your background and where you came from and all that good stuff, and like that stuff's really cool. That's badass, right? But then you woke up and you decided, I'm gonna get into this whole other field. What motivated you to do that, and where did your experience come from?
So the experience was just volunteering. I literally, before I even started Dark Horse Political, I had done everything you could do on a campaign, with the exception of be the treasurer, because I don't do treasury work. And I had done it in a volunteer capacity, not being paid for it.
Gotcha.
Right. I just volunteered and just learned it. Now, I'm a sales dog by vocation. Being in finance, it's sales, 100% sales,
100%.
Right. And so, one of the things I talk about in my book, which is available on Amazon, by the way, is called Win, the Candidate's Guide to Winning Back America. And one of the big ideas that we talk about is politics as sales. It's a sales and marketing effort that you do for a period of 6 to 18 months, depending on the length of your campaign. And you're there to sell yourself.
100%.
And if you can't create buy-in from voters who are just buyers, right? If you will apply sales principles to your campaign, you will win. Let me give you an example. So the conventional thought is, well, with most new candidates, they're like, well, you know what? I'm going to go convert Democrats. No, you're not. Okay. So if I'm selling Chevys, why am I going to send marketing materials and go talk to Ford drivers?
You're not.
They're never going to drive a Chevy.
I'm never going to drive a Chevy.
They would rather walk than drive a Chevy.
I'll push my broken Ford before
That's a
I
fact.
drive a Chevy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And vice versa. Yeah.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Talking about some good biases there.
So we go out there and we never talk to our buyers. Well, who are our buyers? 3, 4, and 4 voters, meaning you had 3 out of 4 chances you voted 3 times. Out of 4 chances you voted 4 times. Those are buyers, right? They're not persuadables. They're none of that. These are buyers. They're making a buying decision today. Okay. Why are you going to go talk to non-buyers, people that probably not going to vote, or people that are going to buy your competitors what they're selling? You got to go talk to your buyers.
Yeah.
And then your independents, those are the people, your swing voters, meaning that one time they vote Republican, another time they vote Democrat. They kind of swing back and forth depending on the race. Those are your persuadables. You got to go win the hearts and the minds of them.
Yeah.
But you start with your buyers.
Makes perfect sense,
right? Because if you don't talk to your buyers, then you don't have any. Where do you think donors come from? Buyers. Where do you think volunteers come from? Buyers. Where do you think all of the resources you need to run an effective campaign come from? They come from your 3 4s and your 4 4s. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from just magically falls out of the friggin' sky.
And that's great terminology. I like the way that you're thinking about that. It's not a term, when we interview candidates and stuff in your lot, it's those aren't the terms that we get to get into. So
right, that's why
I'm
they
geeking
lose.
out on the deep stuff. So I appreciate it.
That's why they lose.
Yeah.
Because they don't think about it like that.
Yeah.
They think that they have to be right.
It's very fascinating to what as you explain that, everybody knows that, that I'm a contractor, right? And I find that when I walk into a client's house, right, they could get anybody to paint their house or put a new roof on it or do a remodel of their bathroom, right?
Sure.
They buy me,
and
my wife and I were having the conversation.
Your service, let's put it that way.
Well, I listen, you are correct 100%. But my perception of it is that if I develop a great rapport, then that customer is going to buy my services, even though I charge more. Because I while Trump was president, I went from $60 to $125 an hour. Nobody batted an eye, right?
Yep.
And so it's just the approach and developing the rapport and getting them to buy it. And if I'm understanding you correctly, you're effectively doing the same thing with your candidate.
That's it.
And so is it more about that than it is per se the issues or an issue?
So it's secondary. So
okay,
if you walk into my house and I call you because I need a contractor and you show up with lollipops, dude, I might dig you, man. I'm like, dude, you got a great beard. I'm digging your truck. It's all cool, but I need a contractor. Why are you here trying to sell me lollipops? I don't need lollipops, right? So you know what? We're probably not going to do business. I like you, but I don't like what you're selling.
Yeah,
because it's not what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
But the first thing is you. You can come in and be selling what I want. You might be selling contractor services. But if I think you're an asshole, then I'm not going to do business with you.
Yeah.
Okay. If I don't like you, that's first is you. What's first is the candidate. The next thing is, where is he on the issues that matter to me? What is his narrative about that? What is he talking about? What is he selling? Someone who's done that very, very well is Jesse Young.
For sure.
Jesse Young has always been on the issues, talking about the things that matter to voters. And this year, what we're talking about in Jesse's campaign is protecting your family, protecting your future, protecting our state. And those three things. And then underneath those three big ideas are all of the other things that voters are really, really concerned about, like teaching transgender stuff to children, the curriculum in schools, having boys in girls' bathrooms, redefining what a woman is.
Yeah. If
right?
you can define it in the first place. Yeah.
Those are big things under protecting your family.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Agreed.
And so if we're not talking about the things that are on the minds of voters that are important to voters, then they'll never buy into Jesse, even if they like him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for any candidate out there, that is really secondary. You have to be talking about the right issues. Then how you talk about those issues has to be in the terms that the buyer is going to receive. Right. So if you come into my house and you talk like contractor speak, and I don't really understand what the hell you're talking about, then I don't know what I'm buying.
That's right. Got to create the value.
So Donald Trump has been criticized widely. That guy's stupid. The guy's a billionaire, but he's a moron, right? So the guy. So
it's commonplace for really wealthy people to be idiots, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this guy, he comes in. He talks at an 8th grade level. Well, you know why? Because most Americans understand at a 9th grade level.
Yeah.
Right. That's why. That is a specific reason that he talks the way that he does, and uses the vocabulary that he does, because it's relatable. That's why the steel worker is like, dude, I like that dude.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. That's why the guy that is a white collar guy is like, you know what? I like that guy. Right. Because he relates to everybody.
I did not know how much I was going to dig you when I came in here to do this interview, but you actually just taught me something, and it's been years since I acknowledged that somebody taught me something. Just talking about why Trump talks the way he does never had occurred to me that was why. Right.
It's relatable.
So absolutely relatable.
You have kids?
I do.
So when they were really little, did you speak to them at a college
baby talk
level? No, I'm not saying you did that. If you did, that's your own business. But but when they're 2 or 3, you don't use college level words with them.
Yeah, no.
Right. So my 2 daughters, when they were little girls, I would get down on their level and look at them, and I would talk to them in terms that I knew they could understand, so they could properly follow directions to do what they needed to do.
Yeah.
It's like, no, baby doll, I need you to do this. Take this cup and go put it right there on that bench. No, the bench. Right. And then let them do that. You always speak to people on the level where they're at.
Yeah.
But the thing about liberals, the thing that's so annoying about liberals is that they walk into every room thinking that they're the smartest person. And and then they get arrogant, and then they try to speak down to you. They try to, like you're dumb, like you don't understand, well, did you graduate from college? Well, I didn't, but I drive a Porsche.
Yeah.
What do you drive? You drive I saw that shit box that you came in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I'm the dummy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out of here.
I've always had in politics, I've always had the worst habit of judging somebody by the shoes that they wear.
Oh, sure.
I don't know why I do it, right? But I just, I take a glance
Seriously?
at their shoes. I do. Like, are they comfortable shoes? Are they designer shoes?
Yeah.
Like if you're coming out and shaking hands and you're wearing a good pair of tennis shoes that are comfortable, I'm going to be like, this dude's for real. He's raw. He's for real though.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're wearing gator skin, I'm going to be like, oh no, dude, I can't talk to you.
That was a problem with Josh Freed. So a Freed story. So Freed went to the east side. So Freed's a west side guy, right?
Yeah.
Or he was.
He was a mayor, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I think so.
Bothell or
Bothell.
something.
Yeah, Bothell.
So he comes out to the east side, right? Well, it's all country people out there,
Right.
Oh yeah.
right? And so he comes out in like this blueberry colored suit with these, really metrosexual shoes on. And
no.
so I'm all about the ridicule, because if I can get you emotional, then I can control you. And so I start making jokes.
Do we have the same mother?
So I start making jokes. And so the next day he shows up in a pair of skinny jeans, but he's wearing boots. And so then I was like, man, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like I
More
just
skinny jeans.
yeah. And
Are you
so-
listening, Kevin?
And so anything that he would do, I would tell him it was worse than what he had just done, even though I just criticized him for that.
Right.
And so he was constantly frustrated.
That's vicious.
And so, it was just little things. So, but the thing was that when he was on the east side in the skinny jeans and the boots, everyone knew that wasn't who he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
obvious,
Lauren, I couldn't get Lauren in a suit. The only way I would get Lauren in a suit is if he died and we were at his funeral.
Yeah.
And he couldn't put up a fight. Like I had him in a suit in the beginning. I'm like, all right, well, you're running for governor, so maybe we should make you look like a governor, dude. And you know how you see people and they wear a suit, and then you see other people and the suit wears them.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, the
His
suit
suit wore
totally wore him, and I was like, all right, this is not good. So we
Right.
can't do this. Go away.
Yep.
And
Every once in a while, there's that outlier, like a congressman that wears a sweatshirt and hoodie. I mean,
Right? Yeah, and shorts. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And and looks like Lurch. And so finally he comes and he's like, Chris, I'm just gonna wear jeans and my boots, and I'm gonna wear a button-down shirt, and I'll just throw on a blazer.
It was a badass look for him,
and it was who he was, and he was always comfortable in that frame.
Right.
So then once he got comfortable, he could go out and just be him and remember what he was supposed to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another thing. Just be who you are. And if people like it, then great. And if they don't, then you know what? That's great too.
Yep.
You brought up Jesse, so I would like to kind of use that as a pivot point in this sense.
Yep.
You're working with multiple campaigns here in Washington State. Can we talk about some of them and who you are?
Sure.
Let's do that. So who are the folks that you're working with here in Washington State?
So, we'll just start with Jesse. Jesse is kind of Jesse's my friend, first of all, for full disclosure. Jesse's my friend. He and I struck up a friendship 4 years ago during Lauren's campaign. And he and I are kind of, cut from the same cloth in a lot of different ways.
I dig it.
And he's a winner, and he wants to win, and he stands up for his values. And
so you're saying if he puts forth a bill, he'll actually stay on the floor to vote for it?
100%.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Who are you referring to?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
That's
call her
exactly-
Twinkle
Never.
Tits. Forgive me.
Who's that now?
What? Listen.
Nothing.
She goes out and runs for office and says she's going to look at every bill through the, and I quote, lens of the LGBTQ community. And I'm like, so not me? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So I'm not going to let off the brakes on her.
Are you
No,
talking
I
about,
know. Randall.
Emily Randall.
I hate to say her name.
Yeah.
But Emily Randall.
Yeah.
A woman who sat right here in this studio for 30 minutes, cut her interview short, and lied her ass off the whole time. But
Sure.
Anyway, so we were talking about Jesse.
Yeah. So, Jesse took that step up to run for Senate, didn't quite get there, and now he's running for his seat to get his seat back. And it's interesting that his old seat mate, Michelle Caldier, has recruited a Democrat, Jim Henderson, to run against him in the primary.
There's some
to run against Jesse.
To run against Jesse.
Oh, okay.
And he supports transgender. He was a big BLM supporter. He's an out member of the LGBTQ community. Like the guy is all his donations are to liberals. Like the guy is clearly a Dem. And what's interesting is that Michelle hasn't fielded any sort of opponent from the Democrat Party. Magically. So did she maybe cut a deal? Well, I'm not saying she did. I'm just throwing it out there.
You don't have to. I'll say it. Listen, she's been caucusing with Democrats.
She did.
Right. And she had to have known that article was coming out about her this week. Yet she's magically on vacation.
Sure.
So, we've seen the issues here. And then Kevin and I have been, frankly, a little bit critical of the Republican Party in Kitsap County because they continue to support her and endorse her.
Right.
And we just don't understand why, right? There's character issues.
Sure.
Up and down the line. And Kevin's a little bit more personal about it than I am. I mean, it was $40.
Really?
You know, it's one of the things that I don't quite, I get the idea of politics. I understand the game. But if you're going to ask conservative leaning people in this district to vote for you, it's at least honest and honorable to represent them and caucus with like-minded people. I mean, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
They didn't, you know, it's funny that when Democrats, they say, well, you know, on the stump, they say, well, you know, I'm going to represent everybody. All voices matter, all, you know, blah, blah, blah. But that's not how they govern.
No, not at all.
They govern for their base.
Yes. 100%.
And Republicans don't do that.
I was reading a really interesting article, and instead of local election stuff, it talks about, you know, national elections and you know, kind of that 1% of the elite, the Democratic Party. Do you get into any of the national stuff, or you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Oh yeah. No. We run congressionals. I've got other clients outside of Washington State.
Okay.
But the Republicans here have pissed me off to the point that I'm putting an office here now, and I'm establishing a permanent base here in Washington to run conservatives against these squishy Republicans to get rid of them. And so all they had to do was leave me alone. I even offered them a peace deal. I was like, listen, you leave my candidates alone, I'll leave you guys alone. But they just couldn't help themselves. And so they decided to put primary opponents in against some of my clients. And I was like, all right, well, screw you then, it's on. And so now they don't know it yet. I guess maybe they know it tonight, but they have now kind of let the dog off the chain. And so now
not you, Kevin, not you.
Now I don't care.
Yeah,
because I wanted to do this peacefully, but they didn't want to be peaceful. And so now I've got 6 clients. I've got Jesse. I've got Craig Gaucher, who is a guy you guys need to talk to. He's running for sheriff of Pierce County.
Oh, perfect. That means he's my guy.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, I live in Pierce County. Yeah.
Patty Jackson is a deeply flawed candidate, in my most humble opinion. And I don't just say that because, you know, her opponent is my client, but just because she just got censured by her own peers with a vote of no confidence. Like she's got deep problems, right? Oops. And then you've got Hillary Swank or Keith Swank or whatever his name is. So Keith Swank is a guy that runs every election. He's running for something, right? He's running for
one of them,
running for Congress, running for this, running for this, running for this. And so he's a clown. And so now we've got this guy, Craig Gaucher. He's awesome. His resume is on point. He's been in the National Guard for 20 years. He's been a cop for many, many years. He's solid. So those two. Then we've got Matt Marshall. You guys know Matt?
No, I don't believe so.
So Matt Marshall is a fantastic guy. He's running for JT Wilcox's old seat.
Okay.
So Matt is fantastic. He's a surgeon's assistant, combat vet, Purple Hearts. I mean, the guy is legit.
I dig it.
And he's about to graduate from law school. When he gets elected this November and seated, he will be the most highly educated person to ever sit in that seat.
Boy, that's a lot on his plate too, isn't it? He's about to graduate. So he's graduating this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and running for poor boy's got his plate full. Yeah.
So he's awesome. Then on the east side, I've got Mike Kelly, who is running for Senator Padden's vacated seat. Padden, we worked with Padden. Padden gave Mike Kelly his endorsement. Mm-hmm. Padden is a solid conservative, but he's old, and he's tired, and he's all done. Yeah, he's done his time, and you know what? We respect the time that he's given us.
Yeah,
right. And so Mike Kelly's a business guy. He is. He's running. So those are the top 4. I've got 2 more that I'm putting in later this week that I can't talk about yet.
That's understandable. Yeah. So let's do this because we're going to break here in just a second. I'm not even looking at the clock. I'm having so much fun, and I do wear bifocals. I think we're going to the top of the hour break.
Yes.
Okay, good. That was a good guess on my part. I saw an 8 up there on there. I was hoping I was getting it
Close
right.
enough.
Yeah. So this break will be a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and let the commercials play so we can take a break and refill my water and stuff like that. Thank you for listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. We'll be back after we pay some bills. Nice. And here I thought you weren't going to do it.
Oh.
And you were going to complain about it. You forgot. There you go. Outlaw Radio Network. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Ready to elevate your spirits? Look no further than Black Rain Spirits, your local craft distillery nestled in Town Square Mall. Indulge in the smooth richness of our handcrafted spirits, meticulously distilled to perfection. Whether you prefer the bold kick of our bourbon or the subtle sophistication of our gin, Black Rain Spirits has something for every palate. Visit us today at Town Square Mall and experience the essence of true craftsmanship. Black Rain Spirits, where passion meets perfection, unconventionally traditional.
Hey, it's K-Dog with the Outlaw Radio Network. We are everywhere. You can follow us on all your favorite social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, and more. And if you want to follow me personally, hop on your Twitter and just search for K-Dog the Outlaw. And don't forget our really cool website, outlawradionetwork.com, full of all the cool merch you've been looking for. Outlaw Radio Network. Are you an outlaw yet? Admin a la carte are specialized local experts committed to helping you run your small business. From general admin and sales support to marketing, digital media and technology to real estate and compliance, Admin a la carte's only goal is to take your business to the next level. Find out how Admin a la carte can elevate your business. Visit admin-alacarte.com for more information. That's admin-alacarte.com. Admin a la carte. Your business doesn't fit into a box. Why should you have to?
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't even bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's K-Dog here. Don't forget to check out our brand new website, outlawradionetwork.com. Not only can you catch live streaming of our live shows, you can catch an archive of all of our older shows. On top of that, the coolest merch on the web. Outlaw Radio gear is available with some great stuff now and more stuff to come. Only available at outlawradionetwork.com. Get outlawed on outlawradionetwork.com.
If there was ever a time to live united, it is now. Now is the time to speak with one voice, to build up, not tear down. It's time to join hands and live united against the problems that keep our communities from thriving. United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you volunteer or donate now at unitedway.org?
Hey, it's K-Dog with the Outlaw Radio Network. We are everywhere. You can follow us on all your favorite social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, and more. And if you want to follow me personally, hop on your Twitter and just search for K-Dog the Outlaw. And don't forget our really cool website, outlawradionetwork.com, full of all the cool merch you've been looking for. Outlaw Radio Network. Are you an outlaw yet?
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas, drinking a banana broccoli shake, singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wig.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. Outlaw Radio Network.
So I'm going to give out some serious bonus points to anybody that listens to this show that could do one of two things. Either A, identify the music and where it comes from on this intro, or the lines and the actor that's speaking them in that whole opening clip, which, by the way, happens to be one of my favorite. Go, you got an idea? You know who it is?
Well, of course, you got Dennis Leary.
Yes.
Yep.
From Demolition Man.
From Demolition Man, yes, right? Taco Bell.
After the restaurant chain wars,
yes,
all restaurants are Taco Bell.
Yes, exactly. Well, and for those that are wondering, the music actually is Thor. It's Thor's theme from the Thor Origin Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
I have never watched those.
You know what? I have heard a lot of people that are dead set against watching them.
I'm not even. I have no opinion though.
Yeah.
I just never have taken the time.
I grew up on comic books, so I enjoy them, Phil.
I mean, if you start with Iron Man, you work your way through the whole Marvel universe. At the end, your butt will be Thor.
Right.
Oh,
That's so bad.
Hey, touche.
You too.
I'm sorry.
You too. That's a good band.
Yeah. I'm going straight to hell. That's okay. Kevin's not here to drive the bus, but all I got to do is call him.
Yeah.
So
They won't take me. They're afraid I'll take over.
They won't. Who? Hell won't take you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they can find a place for you.
No, they're afraid I'll take over.
Oh, Lord. You are so full of yourself. Almost as much as Kevin, but not quite. Yeah. All right. Hey, we're gonna get back to talking some serious local politics here with Chris. Chris, in your position, something I've kind of been curious about. For you, what is the most cringeworthy thing that you could have to deal with a new client? Like, it can't be Lauren not looking good in a suit, right? It's got to be like if a client comes to you and they like, well, my name is so and so and I'm this way, right? Like, what's like the thing where you're just like, oh no, really?
And how do you manage that?
So it depends. I mean, for me personally, just as a man, I mean, this is a personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not okay with beta males. And so
don't you say it. Okay.
So like, I'm not going to run a beta male. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank
like,
you, Jesus.
You've got.
We need to
you
get
have
our
to
video back.
So.
Oh, Phil,
Hey,
video.
Phil.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
There we
Forgot
go.
about that.
I had all these other buttons
it
to
was
push.
Kevin Nelson in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Then I
Thanks,
had to
Kevin.
give Paul
So-
the finger.
Yeah.
I was just looking at your picture, Chris, thinking, oh, you should probably get an updated picture. You've got a great tan going.
Oh, yeah. So, that's personally.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like working with beta males. And I'll tell you why, because there are times on the stump that you have to be tough. And, you can't, I don't like it. I would rather have you tell me yes or no, up or down, be direct. I don't try to work out behind things and try to manipulate things and do that kind of beta way of doing things, because you can't stand confrontation.
Yeah, you got a tribal leader mentality on that. I dig it.
And so that's just me personally. As far as what I look for in clients, like there's a saying I use on when I'm teaching this stuff to potential candidates and new operators, people that want to get in the business, is I say, listen, just because your client got promoted from the fries to the grill doesn't necessarily mean that they're qualified to run for governor. Or to run for Congress. And I don't mean no disrespect to anyone that might be in the food service industry.
Right.
I think that's fantastic. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're qualified to run for Congress.
Right.
And so with the rise of Trump, what we saw, this was one of the downfalls. I won't say downfalls. It's one of it brought up difficulties. Obstacles. So Donald Trump had never run for political office before.
Right.
Okay. But he, had a top show on television for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
He had 40 years of being in the public eye, like been in movies, like everybody knew who Donald Trump was.
Yep.
Right. So he can go out and he can say things and it doesn't really affect him in the way that if you or I ran for public office,
Right.
For sure.
right, would like we go and say, just grab her by the and then all of a sudden we're like filleted. Yep. Everyone fillets us. All of our support backs away.
Yep.
Donald Trump says it and it's like, nah, it makes sense. That's probably something he would say. Right. Like
and they did. People like passed up, like it's locker room talk. Well, yeah, actually, kind of.
I was on staff actually when he said in a press meeting, he said, my people love me. I could go out and
shoot somebody
in the street and I wouldn't lose any support.
Oh yeah, and fourth. Yeah.
And so, and all of us are sitting there and we're looking at the screen and we're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I bet.
Because for us, we had no context of a Donald Trump before, right?
Yeah.
So we're all thinking like if George Bush had said that or had Mitt Romney had said that or if, anybody, Bob Dole had said that, anybody, Reagan would have said that.
Yeah.
Dude, they'd get filleted, right? So he was unique. And so what that's done is that's brought out all of these people who are frustrated.
Yeah.
And they use Donald Trump as an excuse to just go out and be an a-hole.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that doesn't win the hearts and minds of people.
Yeah.
Like you have to be a serious person. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're running for city council, like you have to be a serious person. You just can't go in there and just, we're going to barnstorm and we're going to burn it all down. Well, what good does that do?
Yeah.
Right?
It does seem like people sometimes they're so enamored by the idea of being someone, right, that they forget this is a job. It takes skills.
Yeah.
This isn't a joke. You can screw this up and there are consequences. You know?
Well, and
but far-reaching consequences. Yes. And I think that's most of our sitting politicians have lost sight of the fact that their squabbles and their nonsense have far-reaching consequences, and we're living them right now.
That's exactly right. And a lot of conservatives, something that is very frustrating for me. This feels like therapy. So
leave a check on the table.
Yeah. So how does that make you feel?
Yeah. How do you feel today?
That's why I think yellow makes me sad.
That's actually kind of funny because I work for a mental health company.
Oh, do you really?
That explains it.
Irony.
I'm kidding. Just kidding.
Bring it on, Paul.
Yeah. No,
let's go.
I know where I would lose again. It's all good.
So conservatives come out and they feel like they have the right to be right. And they feel like campaigning is about being right on the issues. Winning elections has nothing to do about being right. Exactly zero. Because if it did, there would be no Democrats. Because they're wrong, in my opinion, about everything.
It's not that our liberal friends are, oh God, how did he say that? Ronald Reagan made the comment that I absolutely loved it. It's not that my liberal friends know so little, it's that they know so much that isn't so.
Yes.
That's
That's exactly right.
It's so true.
Right. And so conservatives, they're frustrated and they just want a platform to be right. And then what follows is if I'm right and if you don't agree with me, you're wrong and we can't be friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take my football and I'm going to go up the street.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm advocating for is that we run conservatives. You keep your values. I believe that I'm right on these issues. Otherwise, I wouldn't hold the opinion, right? I believe I'm right on these opinions. If you disagree, that's cool, but I'm going to stick with what I have. It doesn't mean that it just means we disagree on this.
Yeah.
You know, now there are issues like, you know, there are certain things that are hard stop. Like for me, at least, the Constitution. If you don't respect the Constitution, support the Constitution, uphold the Constitution, not the ones you like, but all of them.
You don't get to pick and choose. That's not how this works.
Then that for me is a hard stop. And that just means that politically, I can't go with you.
Yeah.
Right. We can go get a beer later.
Yep.
Right. But politically.
Absolutely. Listen, sitting in this chair for 25 years.
Ooh, feeling old.
Well,
Don't
I
those
can't
things.
begin to
It
say
hurts.
how much hate email and messages
Oh, yeah.
that I get because I am very proactively anti-abortion. Like I am so pro-life, you know, people hate over it.
Yes.
And I tell everybody the same thing. Look, it's the law of the land, right? Abortions are legal. I'm not going to chastise you or tell you you're an evil person. I just personally think that we're going to look back on abortion in 100 years like we currently look at infanticide in ancient Greece and Rome, right? Like we're going to go, how could you do that?
Right.
You know, and people hate.
Yeah.
They hate, man. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, my favorite one is, you're a man, you don't get to have an opinion. Duh.
Right.
What are you talking about, right? Like, oh, my land.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And so those are things that I look for. Those are things that kind of frustrate me. The beta male thing, like you have to be. Now, if you're a woman, and I'm running you as a client, then I want to know, are you tough enough? Oh, and even for a guy, I want to know if you're tough enough.
Yeah.
But this business is particularly difficult for women.
Yeah. You think so?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And it's difficult because politics is a lot like finance. It's kind of a man's world, right? Like banking. It just is. And being a woman in that space, you got to be tough. And
you sounded a lot like Jordan Peterson. I mean, I'm speaking the language with you. I get it. I'm there.
You know, I mean, so if I'm going to run a lady, then I need to know that the lady's tough enough and that she is going to be able to stay composed and stay focused on what she needs to be doing. Right now, that's not to say that I wouldn't hold a man to those same standards.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, with a guy, if there's kind of that pride thing, right? Like if you show up and you're like not man enough to stand up with the other guys, like that is seriously like you're gonna get your man card pulled and you're gonna be ushered out. You know what I mean?
But it's different for women because if you show up and you're as passionate as a man who is expected to be that way, you become the female dog. And you're called out on it. You have
there
to be
goes Lori again, being crazy.
Yep.
Right?
The whole stereotype. So you have to be super, super conscious of how you're coming across, how you're talking, how you can still be passionate.
And people are bad about that, right? Like we all have double standards towards women. I mean, I think as far as men goes, I don't think many people pay attention to men's opinion on other men, but like in your position, yes. If I'm looking at a candidate, yes. But men don't walk around and gossip with each other. But but we are, man. I know. I can think of a lot. I can think of a lot of women that I'm like that chick was a bitch.
Yeah.
You know, and actually it was just her speaking her mind forcefully. You know.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you know, but it's nature. I don't know how to fix it.
But if it was
Paul,
dudes,
I'm gonna push back a little bit. Us guys, we'll nitpick each other at some things. The trades, you ever walk into a project, go, God, who did this?
Yeah, I'd appreciate if you never wore a sweater with the nipples cut out again.
I was talking about construction, man.
I still had, I had to go there though, brother.
But
trauma.
But the thing is if we have a disagreement or like if there's something, be like, dude, did you see that guy? What a dick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if there's a confrontation, then we can go fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And
we'll punch it out and go have a beer later.
Right. That's exactly right. Or we won't, but either way, we're going to punch it out. Right. And,
That's right.
And,
That's right.
you know, and so
did you catch what he said there? Or we won't.
Yeah.
or we won't, you know, but with a woman, you can't just go, oh, well, I'm just going to slap this bitch. Right. You can't do that.
No.
Right. And so, you know, and so there is that double standard. And so I actually did a case study on this about Hillary Clinton.
I was going to actually ask you what you thought about it. Because wasn't it Vermont? Like state number 2, and she broke down, kind of like started crying there when she was on the stump. And
did she really?
Yeah. This was in 16 or 15, whatever. I mean, it was that election cycle. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, girl, this is like early on and you're crying. That's probably not good.
So I did a case study on her. So how her team branded her. So Hillary Clinton is not a nice person.
No.
Yeah, you hear a lot about that. I don't have any experience.
There isn't anyone that likes her. And not on the Democrat. I know Dem operatives that have dealt with her in DC, and just people don't like her. They know how she is. And she blows up. She throws things like she's just she has that kind of personality.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean unreasonable?
Yes.
Okay.
And not a good lawyer.
No, not a good
lawyer.
Tom,
she's not here. You don't have to whisper.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I can't hear myself.
Really?
I don't know if I'm talking too loud or what.
Oh.
So I did a case study on her and how her team branded her as Grandma, the nice lady.
What?
Okay. So
I didn't know
think
that.
about this. Back in 2016, they tried to pitch a softer, gentler Hillary Clinton, and so she's not really that way.
No.
This is what I know about people. If I can put you under pressure, you'll show me who you are.
Right.
Okay. Because people never rise to the level of their potential. They always default to the level of their discipline.
Yeah.
They always show you who they are under pressure. So when Hillary Clinton, who is in the biggest race on the planet, highest stakes, she got smoked by some new guy 8 years prior, and then now she's running against this guy. She feels like it's her turn. She's under a lot of pressure, and so then she like loses her mind, right, and starts yelling at people. Now all of a sudden you've got a problem, because what they're saying about her, who she is, this is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is showing you someone different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not matching up.
How they should have branded her is Hillary Clinton's not a bitch. She's a strong woman.
Yeah.
The only reason
Take charge.
The only reason that you say she's a bitch is because she has to be a strong woman, because she has been forged in the fires of DC politics, and she is strong fighter, blah blah blah. Yeah. And it fits into their Dem narrative. They should have branded her as strong instead of branding her as Grandma.
Yeah, the branding was definitely
it was off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you weren't part of her election campaign.
Well,
right?
they wouldn't listen to me anyway.
Yeah.
But
But do you think that Benghazi is one of the reasons why they didn't want to brand her as strong? Because then she could kind of distance herself from that?
No, because she has exceedingly low likability numbers. So likability numbers do matter.
Okay.
Right. And so like Donald Trump, one of the things is he's likable. Either you like him or you don't. But the people that like him really like him.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like really, really like him.
Yeah.
Those that hate him really, really hate him.
Yeah. I was the first Kevin and I joke about this a lot, because we were in 15 and stuff. We were talking about all the candidates. There was just a gaggle of them, right?
Yeah.
And I was the only person sitting in studio that night, or I'm like, do not count him out. He's approaching this completely different, and he has the name recognition. His branding is already done.
Yes.
But if you're a little congressman from Florida, that people they see you, for 30 seconds on Fox News,
right?
They're not getting the whole picture. This guy, and then he ended up, of course, winning that. And I mean, I was all for it. I went home, woke my kid up so he could watch Donald Trump's come on TV and say, great, good for me. I won, right? And I was a complete supporter of his. I'd even go so far as to say I drank the Kool-Aid. And then on January 6th, I spilt the Kool-Aid. And so that was, but I've also made it very clear. I'm like, look, I was hoping somebody else would run, but he did. He's going to get the nomination, so I'm going to support him 110%, especially because the alternative is not acceptable. So it's, that's where I'm at. And you know what you mentioned earlier, it isn't for me because he had to be a conservative or a certain kind of Republican. When I was in the Army, I didn't need to like my drill sergeant. I needed him to make me a good soldier.
Yes.
Right. That to me is what we needed and do need from our president. Right. We need leadership, whether I agree or disagree. Right. Indecision is the mother of all F-ups. Right. And if there's one thing that guy does not have an issue with, it's indecision. Like he makes a choice and goes for it.
Right.
So there are absolutely things I appreciate about him. And like his black mark with me is January 6th. Okay. Can't change it. Nothing I can do about it. Doesn't do me any good to sit and.
For me, the black mark. So I supported Ron DeSantis in the primary.
I did too.
My wife is on the Trump staff this cycle,
so that makes dinner fun.
And so we just agreed to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. And so my wife is a Latina, very beautiful woman, very, very passionate.
His eyes light up when he brought up his wife.
And so yeah,
I dig it. I dig it.
So, but and so
in chonkless.
Huh?
Does she threaten you with the chonkless?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, it's like with her, because she's so exceedingly passionate that she's never wrong. I don't think I've ever heard my wife say the word sorry.
Oh.
Right. And so,
darling, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, she is. She is.
No. She'll my
no,
wife.
No. His wife is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I love you.
And so, for me, it was his abdication of his presidency to Fauci. That was the hard stop for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was hard to watch.
I still don't understand that. Maybe you have better insight on it.
I don't understand it either.
Okay.
And so and then before that, the other thing was, well, we'll just take the guns and figure out due process later.
You talking about the red flag laws?
Yes. Gotcha. That's not how the Constitution works. See, because we do due process first, and then you can F off until I get convicted. Then you can take the guns.
And right now he is living due process, right? Because he,
I guarantee he'll never make that mistake again.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
If there's one thing he's going to come out of all this appreciating, it's due process.
That's
because
a fact.
it's saving his butt right now.
So those things, were things that I was like, I don't know. Ron DeSantis has got a lot of very positive things. He's as constitutionally sound as you can get as
100%,
a governor.
Yep.
And he's a nightmare for liberals.
Yeah,
just a nightmare.
I dug him, man, and I loved his story.
But he ran a terrible race, and his campaign staff just didn't. They tripped out of the gate, and it just wasn't. For me, it wasn't like, oh, well, Daddy Trump, he didn't go ask permission. See, that for me is garbage. That for me is whoever's the best. If your guy Trump is the best, then you know what? He's the best, and they're going to fight it out, right? Mm-hmm. There's no permission, my turn, screw you.
Exactly.
It's whoever's going to win is going to be their turn.
You're in the realm of ideas and conversation, man. Let it fly.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no my turn, right? It's whoever gets to the seat first, it's their turn.
Yeah. There you go.
So
no, there with you.
Yep.
You okay, Lori? You need some water? Okay. All right. 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes before we're going to break. I just want to make sure that as long as I don't get the 2-finger squeegee, we're good. Okay. So we're yeah, two-finger squeegee. Never mind, Bill. It was a horrible joke at Kevin's expense. Okay. So we were talking about Tom. You all right over there, Tom? Anyway, so we're gonna go to break in a minute. When we come back, got something a little bit interesting. I think we're gonna throw at our guest here, because I'd like to get kind of down to some of the nitty gritty. So we've talked kind of about some of the things that you like, some of the things that you don't like, some of the things that are cringeworthy. I want to know what you really like. Like, I want to know what's your whistle, man, when you get a chance to sit down with a guy and you're like, oh, hell yes, let's do this.
Okay.
It's like I everybody that knows me, that watches the show, I'm a geek for this stuff, man. And I really like to get into it and learn about it. And I
live in Vegas. Are you sure you want to have this conversation?
I'll leave that alone. I've never been to Vegas. My wife says she hates it. She used to go there all the time as a kid. So
come on. Vegas is great. Right?
She's told me I can go, right? She's given me permission. She says I can have my penis in the quick disconnect switch. So I'm good to go.
Nice.
Outlaw Radio Network. We'll be back right after this. Yeah. So for those that are listening, so you guys all know the show that Kevin likes to the game Kevin likes to play, Right or Racist.
Oh no.
And I think that a game like this could actually be an incredible nightmare for a candidate for office or somebody that's working with them.
Oh my God.
Because and it's very deceptive too, isn't it, Tom? Because the title is it right or is it racist? And like 3/4 of the stuff has nothing to do with racist stuff, right? So it's either right or wrong.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
But some of the questions in there will kind of put you on the spot. It's like, oh, if I don't answer this right, I sound.
Yeah, you look weird. Yeah, absolutely,
bad.
absolutely. And I'll say this, leave it to the Native American co-host of the show to refuse to play the right or racist game. And he just makes the rest of us do it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Oh, yeah, he's leading. Yeah,
he likes to orchestrate.
Absolutely.
I think he does find the game.
Yes. Exactly. You're right, Phil. I
hit you.
One of these days we'll have Phil read the cards and make Kevin play.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Because I'd like to see actually how many Kevin does get right. I freely admit I have not ever won a game of that stuff.
How's Sunday?
Well, Sunday's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So
we're at a racist on Mother's Day.
And your point is?
My point is that I don't know that I will be here to play that game. So,
that's fair.
I see my wife very little, and like I said, we're going to go to the horse races on Sunday and go have some fun.
And you do have a bit of a commute.
Yeah, well, well, the
All right,
things that,
we're about 10 seconds.
Okay, cool. 987-654-3221. I just had to count. It's all good. outlawradionnetwork.com.
Stop it!
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
I almost wish we could cut out the laughter at the end of that part.
We could.
Yeah, and I know
There's
that was
other
kinda,
ones that don't have it.
That was kind of
funny.
my thought. That's what I was like. I don't know why, but for some reason it just grates on me when we hear the laughter because it sounds so good, and then they hear us laughing in the background. I couldn't control it. I had to laugh. It was funny as hell.
The fact that it grates on you is what makes it so great.
I think the laugh
okay.
is great. I mean, I think the laugh is funny.
You know what? Can you turn up your microphone?
His mic is not working. There's something broken.
Oh,
And
do you want mine?
So the whole night Tom's been talking and nobody can hear him. I mean, I can kind of hear him.
It was a
but
feature.
It was a feature. Oh my goodness gracious!
No,
Do you want this
I
one?
hear him
You
through
do?
the other mic, so I was
Okay.
like, you know what, we're just gonna roll.
Yeah, you can hear him through the other mic.
Now it hums.
Not hymns. That's
humming.
special medicine that you can get for the man in your life.
It doesn't know the words. 'Cause it hums.
Hymns for men. I spend too much time on the internet. All right. So Chris Gergen here in studio with us. Before we went to break, I brought up kind of what I wanted to dig into a little bit. I know it's gonna sound horrible, but Kevin is not here, so nobody's allowed to give me grief over this for the way that I word it. What really gets you going, man, about a candidate? Like if a candidate walks up to you and in this particular area is like, you're like, oh my God, this candidate is so strong in this area. Like, what would it be?
If he's as vicious as I am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Vicious is an interesting word for a conservative because it means, to me, it means you're not afraid to throw down.
Oh, I'm a savage.
Yeah.
Go ask.
No, I
Freed
dig it.
Yeah, go ask Freed if I mean, I
did make fun of his clothes every day. So
well, not only that, but I mean, I did a lot of things to frustrate him. I mean, I nicknamed him Mr. Herpes.
Dude.
I mean, it was, and then I even got him to refer to himself as that way. And
hold on.
Wait, what?
Now we know who the alpha is.
Call him Mr. Herpes, and you got him to call himself that.
So this is the story. So I was doing a Facebook Live, and I was a little bit frustrated about some things. Lauren was running for Congress, and we hadn't heard from Freed for like 2 years. And then he decides to interject himself in the middle of my race. So that pissed me off. So then I go live, and I'm talking about how, we haven't heard from this guy, blah, blah, blah. And we think everything's cool. We had buried the hatchet, and then all of a sudden, bang, this guy pops up. It's a lot like having herpes. Just when you think it's gone, there it is. It comes back.
The gift that keeps giving.
So anyway,
Wow.
Josh goes live, I think like the next day or something like that. And then he's all upset. Like he's super pissed. You can tell, like genuinely pissed. And he's like, and then, this childish behavior and saying I'm Mr. Herpes. And so then everybody else started referring to him as that. So he nicknamed himself.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Wow.
And so like, if you like, I will come at you because this is the way I look at it. You want to run for office, you hire me. Okay. You hire me to defend you. You hire me to to push you out there. You hire me to help you get elected. You hire me to lay out the strategy. You hire me to be a savage that you maybe necessarily can't be.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Because you got to be a little bit more diplomatic if you're the person running.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I have bad intentions for my opponents every day. It is my goal. My goal for my opponent is that I want them to lay in bed at night when this race is over and have their spouse just watch them sleep and wonder themselves why they married such a loser. Like that is the mentality that I come into.
Chris,
that is how I approach everything in this. And then when it's all over and the competition's done, let's go get dinner. Like I'm good because for me it's business, it's not personal.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a game.
Huh?
Are you an MMA fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you live in Vegas. I mean, UFC's in Vegas, so you gotta.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean that jives. I'm just making
Correlation.
Yeah. But
otherwise, you're missing a hobby I think you would really enjoy.
Yeah. But this is the thing: is that I'm not here to hold hands with you.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, this is a serious business.
Yeah.
And so if we get the wrong people elected, people could die.
Yeah.
People could be homeless.
Yeah.
People could die in the streets on drugs.
Yeah.
People could be given needles and allowed to die on the streets.
We've
on
seen
drugs.
those suggestions from politicians in the state. Yeah.
Have you been to Washington?
Oh yeah. No. That's what I'm saying. And so for me, it's important. And so if you're going to step up against my guy, then, or my gal, then I'm going to savagely and viciously defend them. Now there's rules. It's a lot like the mafia. So like, I'm not going to hit your spouse. I'm not going to hit your kids. I'm not going to hit your brother, your sister, your daughter, your dog. I'm not going to hit any of that. It's you. You are my target. I am there to get you because you are there to get me. Right. Like there's no second place in this business.
And to your point that you made earlier, with that mentality, right? You've got to be strong enough to understand this is mano y mano.
Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and there are some things like if it's public, I'm going to use it. Like if you signed up for a Grindr account, right? A gay Tinder. If you signed up for a Grindr account and I find it, dude, you are stupid and I'm going to use it. Okay.
What if your friend signs you up for something like that? Because we tease about doing stuff to Paul or Kevin like that all the time.
But you know what? That's legitimate. You can legitimately like, okay, let's say they did that to you, right?
Yeah.
And I was and I found that about you and I run it like.
I mean, would you dig that far? To find who set it up?
No.
Okay,
if I run it against you, I'm not going to know that you did it to him. I'm just going to run it. It's incumbent upon you to go to your friends and be like, "You screwed me up on this.
And better get ahead
you
of
are
that.
going to get. You are going to get out here on this."
Yeah.
Now, listen. The line is this: like, if you molested puppies and you were 10 and no one knows about it except for like a best friend that all of a sudden is not a best friend anymore,
right?
And he gives me oppo on that, I'm not going to run that because it's not public record.
Yeah,
it's not fair. Like, if you're having marital problems, if you're having these things, I'm not running that, dude.
And some people will, by the way.
No, I know,
in this
but
business,
but I won't do
Yeah.
that. That's because that's personal.
Yeah.
Like if you got like anything to do with your kids, your marriage, whatever. Now, if you punch your wife and end up getting arrested, and,
then it's
now
public
it's public
record.
Now it's public record. Now it's a
Right.
problem.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah.
if you guys just having a dispute, maybe she moved out, maybe there's a problem, whatever. I'm not going to run that, dude.
Yeah.
That's not cool. I'm not about ruining people's marriages. You know, but if it's public record, a matter of public record, and you want to get in the field, let's go play.
Like if you don't pay somebody's kids and it gets talked about on radio every 6 days.
Still going.
Just saying.
Still going.
I'm like the Energizer Bunny.
6 days or 6 years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Listen. I'm sorry. I should not pick on Michelle Caldier as much as I do.
Yeah.
But I do.
I got nothing for you. It's nothing.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So quick question, Chris.
Yes.
Would you consider, like you're talking about the opposition and everything, research and everything, should a candidate consider that like we do in the corporate world where everything's a potential test? Like if your boss reaches out at a particular time that's unusual for his time schedule, it's like a test to see if you're still plugged in. Or, you know, you get asked to do something that's totally not in your sphere of responsibilities, but, you know, your boss doesn't trust somebody else to do it, or it's a test.
Yeah, I mean that happens on campaigns all the time. So like I look for things that are like out of the norm. I look for things. So so we were talking earlier about what makes a good candidate, what doesn't make a good candidate. Okay, so have you ever? So you're in the construction business, so obviously you tow things, right? You tow trailers.
Oh,
things like this.
I thought you were saying tote. My bad.
Yeah, I thought you said tote too.
Yeah, like you tow trailers.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming you back trailers up.
Yes.
And you know that there are two types of people on this planet: those that can back up trailers and those that cannot.
Correct.
Right.
That's me.
There's no. I can kind of back it up.
Yeah.
It's either you can back that up or you can't. And the difference between the two is one group of people can see angles in their mind's eye. One group cannot. Right. That is the difference.
Interesting. Explains my pool game.
In politics, there are two groups of people: those that can see angles between people or potential angles between people, and those that cannot.
Yeah.
Right. And so in that situation, so what you're talking about is like these little tests. If I have somebody come up, I want to know who that person is.
Right.
And who do they know? And why would they come up and talk to my guy? Right. And so I'm constantly going through, okay, so what's the potential angle on this? What's the potential angle on this? Who's going to, are they trying to test my guy? Is this going to be a gotcha situation? Like we get, as a candidate, you get invited to go to different meetings.
Right.
Okay. Who's hosting the meeting? Where's it at? Is it going to be filmed? Right. Those are like, you have to literally be suspicious of everything.
For sure.
Like I would tell you, Paul, if you were my client, I would be like, dude, you must conduct yourself. Unless you're in bed with your wife, you must conduct yourself everywhere you go like you're being recorded, because you probably are.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's good advice.
And so
even in a two-party consent state.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, for God's sakes, look at the former president's lawyer.
Exactly.
Recording his conversations about a check.
Yeah, that's good advice for day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you are being recorded everywhere you go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
Be clean. Don't pick your nose.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Especially now that we're on the verge of our social credit score, huh? Yeah.
Right.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oof.
So I look at everything. I ask about everything. Why would they want to know that? Why would you ask that question? Because they're like searching. And plus you have these little characters in the political story called trackers. So trackers follow you where you go to different venues and different events, and their job there is to record you. And so sometimes they will pair an operative with a tracker, and then that operative is put in the crowd to ask gotcha questions with the tracker there to get it on camera, right? And so I may or may not have done that myself in races, right?
I've seen that happen to Jesse. I think it was probably about 6 years ago.
Sure.
Yeah.
Isn't that called our mainstream media?
Well, no, this was
here in Seattle.
Well, it might be, but those were just people that were in the crowd.
Yeah.
And he was making conversation about ghost bills. So, and they tried to play the gotcha question stuff with him.
Sure. And so, so as a consultant, you have to look, or a good campaign manager, you have to look at all of those potential threats on, why are they, who are they, like during Culp's race in 20, I've told our staff a lot of times, don't allow that person near Lauren. Don't allow that person near like our perimeter. And once we got to a certain point where we were doing, 4 or 5 rallies a weekend with thousands of people at each one, we got executive protection. And so we kept people away from Lauren until after the show. Then Lauren would go out and be the man of the people. But before then, I didn't want anyone just personal. So imagine my guy sitting there relaxing, trying to collect his thoughts. And then some random person comes up wearing a wire or having somebody record.
Yeah.
Right. So you just have to be careful. Like, that's just the world that we live in.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. And it's, you can, at least from our perspective, with all of the people in the industry running for office or already elected, like we really see that. And it does not take much. And sometimes even when you're interviewing a candidate, right, you're giving, and there was a candidate, I won't give her name, but she was running for Congress here, and she did, I don't know, I think she was in here like 2 or 3 times. And we had discussed the need to reach across the aisle to win in her congressional district, right? Because she was running against Kilmer. Like, you can't
Kresselmeyer.
Yes, sir. Anyway, so the point is we're sitting there talking to her. She was talking about how she absolutely loved and supported everything in the world that Donald Trump did. Well, but don't you think, ma'am, that you got to kind of reach across the aisle a little bit, and you got to kind of have those conversations with maybe people that don't agree? Oh, no, I don't need their vote. Okay.
That's exactly. I don't need their vote.
Yeah.
That is a
like,
candidate
wow.
that is just delusional.
Yeah.
Right. They don't look at the numbers. They don't understand how to talk to people. They just want to be right.
He didn't even take 2 seconds. He knew right who it was too. He was just like, bam.
Well, I kicked her out of two of my my events.
Okay.
So yeah, I know who her handlers are. I know all those people because I kicked them out of my events because they were disrespectful.
We heard some of that in the background here at the station. So I can confirm some of that. So, but that's the nature of it, right? It takes all kinds.
That's right.
And when you're in radio, you see all kinds, and it is what it. And I bet you see. I am not referring to anybody in particular about this one because I think this applies to a whole lot of people. How often do the Klingons become a problem?
Can you specify more? What Klingons? Yeah,
people that are clinging on, riding on the coattails, trying to make a name for themselves.
I was assuming, but I wanted to make sure because some of us are into the whole Star Trek thing.
That's where it came from, though.
I know.
Others went other places.
So, so that there's some of that. I mean, it's. I won't name names. I could name names, but I won't because it'll cause a storm if I do. But there was a certain person who was very close to Mr. Culp during the campaign that was in our kitchen cabinet, right, as an advisor, and he was all about it. And then when it became apparent on election night that, or like right before the election, that Lauren probably wasn't going to get there, he didn't show up to the election night rally. He didn't call Mr. Culp. To this day, has never called him again.
Wow. Wait, he was on the cabinet?
Yes.
And didn't call and said, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry."
Nope. But
here's your sign.
But he didn't mind stealing our data or having someone on our staff take the data and give it to him.
Oh.
And then use that to barnstorm across the state, making a name for himself. He didn't mind doing that.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Right? He didn't mind becoming the guy and using the model that I built.
Okay.
And then going out and barnstorming with the things that we built, but not giving us any credit.
Gotcha.
Right? Because we were no longer useful.
Wow.
Okay. And that's one example. There are many examples of people. When Jesse didn't quite get there last cycle, all of a sudden you had people that like didn't remember his name. Yeah. Jesse was like, well, but wait a minute. Well, I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Oh, but I guess we're not really friends because I'm not Rep Jesse Young anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing. Sometimes losing brings clarity.
Yeah.
Right. Just like I tell all new candidates, like, if you when you start your fundraising, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to do what's called a 90 and 30. You're going to raise 90 days worth of expenses in your first 30 to 45 days, which means that you're going to make a top 200 list of people that you know, and you're going to call those people. And the conversation is going to go something like this. Paul, Chris Gergen, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Let's just say we've known each other for years. Hey, listen, man, Eva and I, that's my wife. Eva and I have made some decisions. I feel like it's right for me to run for Congress. What do you think? And then you're going to tell me, Chris, I think it's great because, we've been friends, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully you'll be honest with me, right? And, and then Chris, I think that's great. Well, Paul, I really appreciate that. We're excited. We think it's great too. Listen, I need your help with something. It's going to be probably about a $5 million lift. And I want to know, can you and your lovely wife help us with about 5,000 of that? And then you shut up. And they're going to say yes or no. If they say yes, Paul, I really appreciate it, man. I knew you're a friend, a brother. I knew I could count on you. If they tell you no, dude, I totally get it, man. The Biden economy is killing everybody. How much could you do right now, though, to help me? And then you wait for them to give you a number.
Yeah.
And then what you do is whatever they tell you, 50 cents, $5, doesn't make a difference. Paul, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you very much. When can I swing by and pick up a check?
Yeah.
Okay? Now, that's the conversation. If they tell you no, now these are your 3 a.m. people. These are like people that friends and
ride
family
or die.
around. Right? Those are your ride and die. If they won't give you money, then you should take them off of your Christmas list.
Yeah.
They're not getting a Christmas card from you ever again.
Yeah.
Right?
Because if they're your friend and they're that close and you're like, you can't give me $5, $10, 20.
Well, you got nothing for me, bro.
Yeah. Because the amount of people that you get signed up as individual donors matters, right?
Well, I mean, it matters. Okay. So statistically, the first one to get to 300 individual donors typically goes on more times than not. I think it's like 78%, but typically goes on to win.
Oh, fascinating. I did not know that.
Yeah. So, so I'll give you an example. Freed was, well, I'll stop picking on Freed. Let's say you have a candidate that raises $100,000 from 4 donors, and you go out there and you raise $100,000 from 1,000 donors. So who's more popular?
You've got 1,000 voters. So
that's 100. If I can get you to give me $1, people used to get so pissed off at me. This guy's selling yard signs. Who the hell sells yard signs? This guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He came here from New Orleans. He doesn't even know what he's doing. At the time I was living in New Orleans.
Right.
Like, this guy's nuts. He's a flake, whatever. Okay, well, if I can get you to give me $1, then you're voting for my guy.
Yeah, you're invested.
And then, so I was selling them for $25 a piece.
Yeah, I know. I was so pissed when somebody stole my Culp yard sign.
Exactly what I was about to say.
Pissed.
Right, because they didn't take Culp's sign.
Yeah.
They took Paul's sign.
Yeah.
Because you paid for that damn thing.
100%.
And then you're going to go get another one because, you know what I mean?
I did too.
That's
I
exactly
was
right.
Pissed. I even put up a freaking trail cam.
That's how you build a following, is by getting the voters invested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? You give me something for free, I'm going to throw that thing in the garbage can. No one cares.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
I dig it, man. And so I appreciate you kind of giving that little bit of backstory by like why, because I was always curious. I'm like, well, is this just a fundraising thing? But the mentality that goes with it, I absolutely appreciate. Now, I heard the phone ring. Were you able to answer the phone? Was the caller still there?
Yes.
Yes, the caller is still there. Caller, I have no idea who you are. If your IQ is less than 100, speak. All right, so we got no caller. You could. Hi, Kevin.
Wow. So, what I'm hearing is that Paul only wants to speak with people that are on his same mental level. I get it. Okay.
Oh.
I just heard him say he wants below average.
Shots fired.
Love you,
Hey,
brother.
first of all, Chris, it's good to talk to you. I'm sorry I'm not in the studio with you, but I'm glad you came in, and
thank you, man, for the
hopefully we can do
invite.
this again more often.
Absolutely.
Did you guys discuss hold on. I don't want to put Chris in a spot.
No,
and I know that Chris is working on several campaigns. So, did you guys discuss the latest Caldeer stuff tonight and I missed it?
No, not really. Actually,
yeah,
we literally skimmed right over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about
Okay.
an article and her going on vacation.
I thought we were going to save that for you because you just have such a special flair and attention
Well,
for
she's
Michelle.
your friend, Kevin, and
Yeah.
we don't want to disrespect her any.
Oh yeah. Do you guys mind if I turn to this package just a little bit?
No.
Hey,
Sure.
You have
It's your
about
show.
6 minutes.
Okay. So, still 6 minutes or south of the hour, and then however long we go after that.
He can talk on the phone.
Let me break this down for the millions.
And
millions +4.
Thank you. Of listeners. Shut up, Paul. So Michelle Caldeer has once again found herself in hot water. Not only does she have ethics investigations against her because of how she treats her staff, her high turnover rate, the fact that she belittles them and is mean to them and is basically a horrible human being to them, which she is to everybody else, including 11-year-old girls. But now it's also been let out that they believe that she leaked the names of the people who made the accusations against her to the press.
Oh.
So let me explain to you the kind of garbage person we're talking about with Michelle Caldeer, and then I'm going to make a proclamation.
I just want to double check, Kevin. So you don't
Yeah.
like Michelle?
Hold on. Just don't get in. Don't bury the lead, Paul.
Go ahead.
You're dealing with an elected representative who has been accused of being just downright, just not even mean. Like mean would be a nice word for her. Downright awful to people. On top of that, she's been accused of tripping and trying to injure an older lady. And now she's going to the press to out people who speak out about her. This is what you schmucks put into office. This is what the KCRP wants to support, when 3 years ago she was persona non grata and didn't have a supporter in the party. But today, you guys want to leg hump her to make sure that she gets reelected so that Republicans don't risk losing the seat? I have a wonderful idea. Why don't you put somebody else up against her? She does not have a spot in the legislature. She does not deserve a spot representing the people of the 26th district. And the more stuff that comes out about her, the more garbage that we hear about her, the more accusations that come out about her, is more reinforcement that she does not and should not represent the people of the 26th. Come hell or high water, I will figure out a way. I will do my damnedest to make sure come November we're not saying Michelle Caldier's name.
I think she's got an opponent, an independent opponent. I don't think she's fielded a Republican. And I believe she cut a deal with the Dems to not field a Dem. So I think you've got one candidate, Kevin, that you can support.
Let me just, I hear you and you're right. As of today, there was somebody who chose not to associate with a party who filed.
Is that right?
I'm just going to ask. Yeah, somebody filed today that isn't associated with a party. The limited time I had to research him today, he seems like more of a really left leaning type of Dem, but he didn't declare as Dem. He's like a Bernie Sanders Dem.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know a lot about him, and I'll do some more research. But he filed today without affiliating himself with a party.
Oh.
All I'm going to say is watch the filing deadline Friday.
Yeah.
Watch the filing deadline Friday. If I have my way, Michelle Caldier's name will not be echoed in the winners list in November. And by the way, it shouldn't surprise anybody about the timing of her trip to Mexico.
No, it shouldn't. Not once that article came out, it was pretty clear.
She got out of Dodge because that article was coming. And she's non-representative. She's non-accountable. She's non-discussionable. If you're in her little circle, you're gravy. If you're not, you're blackballed. You're out. She won't talk to you. She doesn't represent the interests of the 26th district. Please tell me one person in the 26th whose interest she's represented besides the dental lobby.
What's the name of that nonprofit group?
The ARC?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but I would question whether or not that was Michelle Caldier supporting the ARC or whether it was Chris Tibbs, who was at that time the Kitsap County Republican Party chair.
Hey, hold on a second there, Kevin. Can we turn his audio down just a little bit? He's coming across really loud. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm a loud guy tonight.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I cannot believe that we continue to reelect her and put her back in a seat when she doesn't pass legislation. She doesn't support anything. She's the perfect foxhole candidate. She just keeps her head down and nods her little head and gives her a pretty little smile. And people in the county continue to vote for her, and I don't get why.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head, didn't you? You said she's pretty. I heard you say it. You said her pretty little smile.
Well, I said she had a pretty smile. I didn't say she was pretty. Beauty for me is far more than her smile, sweetheart.
Anyway, tell us how you really feel. We got 2 minutes left.
No.
So get your questions in for Chris.
Chris, I know that you're not representing. I know you're working with a lot of campaigns across the state. I believe the last thing I saw was 6. Yep. There's fear in the Republican circles that the Dems might be able to pull a supermajority out of their hat come November.
Yep. It's more than just a fear, brother.
How are you feeling about that as somebody who's intertwined with a lot of these campaigns?
I think it's exceedingly possible. Because the caucuses, the SRCC and the HROC are busy screwing around playing stupid games on a razor thin border here. I mean, this is so razor thin, it's transparent. If they make one mistake, if they screw one of them up, then they fall into a super minority position, and then they've got no leverage. And so instead, what they're doing is they're playing dumb games, and running primary challengers against people that they just don't like in their caucus. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you even wasting time on that? You need to be focused on flipping these purple districts so we can actually pick up some seats and come back from the edge.
Yeah, and adding strength to your point is you have a representative here who doesn't even always caucus with her own party in the Republican
That's a fact.
Party. So, like, the further we get, or the closer we get to the possibility of that supermajority, just makes that behavior that much worse.
Yep.
Did that make sense, Kevin?
And it does make you wonder, even if Caldier was reelected, where's her loyalty lie at this point?
Yeah.
Bill, can we go over for a minute on Facebook? I'll let you guys take us out to the top of the hour.
Okay. Well, Kevin's going to be nice enough, and we're going to go over on Facebook for just a minute. And that's okay, Kevin. We got you covered here, brother, okay? So, Outlaw Radio Network on AM. Well done, Lori. And we never left, so we're back. All right, Outlaw Radio Network. Thanks for sticking with us. Kevin has another question or two he wants to throw at our guest Chris Gergen here, and it's Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm. Dark Horse Political.
Political. Okay, I kept wanting to say consulting. You are a consultant, but it's Dark Horse Political.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very good, Kevin. Go ahead with your questions for our esteemed guest this evening.
Well, I want to do a follow-up, Chris. One of the things that we've been reading about and doing research on is the abysmal state of the state Republican Party, especially financially.
Yep.
There's not a lot of money in the state Republican Party coffers to help some of these candidates out.
Nope.
And I know that donors can donate to individual campaigns, which it might be the route they go.
Yep.
But how bad is the financial situation within the state party when it comes to some of these races that, like you said, we can't afford to lose one?
Well, it's I mean, the state of the financial situation is just abysmal. Because when Semi Bird got the nomination in the convention a couple weeks ago, I watched the money people walk out the door. And I had conversations with them before they left, and then I had conversations with them afterwards. And so what we're facing now is an economic desert, not my words, but theirs. You're going to be faced with an economic desert to where the money has stopped into the WSRP, and Stokesbury is who now the minority leader in the House. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't raise money. And there's nobody really in leadership over there now because all the leadership left. And so it's a circus, a clown show. I mean, these guys, literally they could fall into a barrel full of tits and come out sucking their thumbs. They just don't know what they're doing at all. And so it's to the point now where they don't understand political strategy. You got like John Braun and Chris Gildon are out there recruiting candidates to run against other candidates just because they don't like them. It's stupid. It's a complete waste of time. And they say, well, it's a deep red district, so we're not in danger of losing the seat. Okay, well, so what? But why would you even waste the energy, the time, talent, and treasure,
or take the risk?
Or it's just dumb. It's just stupid. They don't want to win. They're unserious.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Unserious.
So
because that money, that energy could be put into an area where it's needed a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And why can't we just run together? Why can't we get a core narrative? Everybody say this.
Yeah.
And then in your respective districts, put your little spin on it. But we're all generally going to say the same thing about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Plan?
Right. Yeah, like a plan.
Plan?
Fail to plan, plan to fail, baby. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, but they're not doing that. There's no coordination. There's none of that, and it's just dumb. And so what ends up happening is you end up with all these candidates on an island, and you've got these little fiefdoms where the leadership wants to purge their caucus of anyone that disagrees with them.
Yeah. It's a massive problem. And Kevin and I have talked about it for years now. And it's the one demoralizing thing, right? Like I've, thanks to the radio show, been pretty deeply ingrained in the local Republican Party. My mom ran for state seats twice. And there are great people in there. There's wonderful people.
Sure, there are.
And there are shit people.
Absolutely.
And those shit people make it so like I don't even feel comfortable going and signing up to be a Republican. Not because I'm not. I feel like I'm pretty damn conservative. I'm big time constitutionalist, big time Second Amendment guy, massively anti-abortion, right?
Yep.
Like to me, those are the cornerstones, right?
Small government.
And yeah, absolutely.
Low
Don't bring
tax.
in, don't spend more money than you bring in. That's not fucking rocket science, right?
Right.
And so but yet then you've got these jackasses out there. You're not a real conservative. What the fuck do you say that for? How would you know? We haven't had a conversation about any of those other issues, you know? And they just have this idea, and then they tear the party apart for it.
Right.
Why? You know, I'm like, it's like, what are you doing that for? What do you hope to gain?
Right. What purpose?
Yeah, you're going to lose us another damn election, and we're going to be stuck with bobblehead Bob for a freaking governor. It's going to make me want to vomit.
Yeah.
Well, and listen, and all you have to do is look at the KCRP. Like, let's stay local for a minute. Sorry, KGTK folks. I'm going to stay in Kitsap for a second. Over the last several election cycles, we've seen Republicans in this district, when Jesse Young was in and Michelle Caldier was in, every election cycle, they fielded Republicans against the incumbents who were Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
It made no sense to me. And when the Republicans decided that Michelle Caldier was bad and her voting record was awful, remember that, kids? That was only a couple of years ago when you Republicans in Kitsap were saying, oh, Michelle's voting record is horrendous and she's a horrible human being and she's atrocious to people. And that's why you guys put up Alicia Beeler. The party was behind Alicia Beeler because you didn't believe Michelle Caldier was worthy of your endorsement. And now she is? Like, you guys need to make up your minds. Michelle Caldier didn't change. You guys changed. Michelle Caldier didn't suddenly become a saint. You guys aligned yourself with just a bad person. And yet you had Jesse Young in there, who I know he's a little abrasive at times, and he says what's on his mind. God bless him for it. I'd rather have somebody in there that says what he's actually thinking than someone who talks out of both sides of their neck like Caldier.
Right.
But because Jesse can be a little abrasive, we've got Republicans that weren't sure about it.
Well, it's like
explain this to me.
It's like mean tweets, right? We'd rather have bobblehead Joe Biden, because mean tweets hurt my feelings with Trump, right? And now all of a sudden there's buyer's remorse, and I think the only thing people are scared about more than Biden is Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the fact. Even Dems are like, yeah, she's a little dumb even for me.
Yeah, that's
I don't think
cringeworthy laugh, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody wants to see that.
Yep.
It is a cackle. Yeah.
I will say this. I'm a huge fan of irony, just personally. I think irony is one of the funniest devices. I would love, just for shits and giggles, for if Joe Biden happens to meet his maker, he drinks his tea and goes to sleep and doesn't wake up, and Kamala Harris becomes president for about 10 minutes, and she becomes the first female president of the United States, and then Hillary Clinton loses her freaking mind over it because that was supposed to be her spot.
Yeah, she totally thought that was hers. Obviously, you're much deeper into this, but do you think there's truth to the idea that she kind of cut a deal with Obama and his people? Like, hey, if you back out of the race, let me take, we'll put the full support of the party behind you, which is, I think, is kind of why, like, the super delegates and stuff for the Democrats were when Bernie was running against her in the primary, right? Like, he was kicking her ass. Mm-hmm. And then the Democrats pushed him out.
You mean Bernie was?
Yeah, Bernie was. I mean, he really seemed to have the momentum.
Well, yeah, because Bernie isn't controlled the way that Clinton is controlled.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so it just seemed like they had this plan.
The Dems are not going to allow anything spontaneous and grassroots. So, I mean, Bernie Sanders is to the Dems what Ron Paul was to the Republicans.
Yeah.
Right. During the Paul
For sure. Now, Kevin, you may not be old enough to remember Ron Paul, but that's okay. I'll explain them to you later.
Your mouth.
I wasn't. And you know what? I wasn't a real Ron Paul guy.
Yeah.
Because I was. Remember, I was a party guy.
Yeah.
Back then, I was like, oh, Ron Paul. Now that I go back and look back, I'm like, dude, he had some pretty good ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And Rand really seems to be doing a good job continuing. I mean, sometimes he just, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, sometimes I'm like, lady, please shut up.
Yeah, no,
please.
I can't stand her.
And now I got so freaking aggravated. I'm like, okay, listen, just like trying to remove the speaker again. Like, you just want, that's a great question.
Why?
Yeah. Because he decided that it was the right thing to do to give money to Israel and Ukraine. You know, that's a whole nother issue. Yeah,
well,
we can have a conversation about that one sometime. Yeah. Yes, Kevin.
Oh, it's even deeper than that, though, because when she made that power play today, she knew she did not have the votes for it to be successful. So you have to ask yourself, why do it and degrade your party and further divide your party when you know you don't even have the votes to make it work? Like, what does that serve you? It would be different if she made the play and it was a close vote. But it wasn't even close.
But it's theater.
You know,
it's theater, Kevin. That's what it is. It's political theater because it gives them something to talk about, right? Because the base wants fresh meat. And so that gives Marjorie Taylor Greene the opportunity to go out to the base and say, listen, I'm fighting for you. I'm your voice. I'm the standard bearer. I'm going to be the one to stand in the gap, even against everyone else in the party, blah, blah, blah. You need to, I'm the only one standing in the gap for you. And by the way, you can send me $50 because we're raising money for the next re-election.
Yeah, she's really good at following up with those fundraising emails. Did you see me on Fox News? I said no.
Yeah, and I stood in the gap for you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, completely. But to what end result, right? Like
fundraising,
this infighting. Well, no. I mean, for her,
right.
But this infighting within the Republican Party is detrimental and at some point has to stop. Like I've said it before, the Democrats are as dysfunctional as Republicans.
That's true.
But the difference is the Democrats do not put it on public blast for the world to see.
Well,
they handle their stuff behind the scenes. They broker deals behind closed doors. Meanwhile, the Republicans are out there on Front Street with their dysfunction.
Well, and I will. Part of me wonders, and I hate to be drawing this comparison, but I think I have to. Like when I take a look at what happened within the state here with Semi Bird and stuff like that, I legitimately wonder how many of the people that showed up there to with the intent of getting Semi Bird the state Republican Party nomination, how many of them still believe QAnon is a thing? Like there just seems to be that.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, and I love my own mother, but that's a road she went down, and it's hard when you're here sitting behind this microphone and you see the things and you read the things and you do the research. It's hard to have those conversations with some folks that think that way sometimes.
Right.
It just is. I mean,
so John Kennedy Jr. is not he's not alive?
He's not.
I thought he was alive.
Yeah.
I thought he was coming back.
If you knew how many questions I asked my mother
that's like Jesus.
I love you, Mom. Mother's Day's coming up. I ain't saying I'm just, yes, you're right. But it's like, no, his plane crashed. There was an autopsy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
he's
just
gone.
He's gone.
He's gone, Mom.
Yeah. But he was Trump's best friend. And there's a reason they had to do that, you know, and there's always an article. There's always somebody saying he's showing up next weekend at some event, right?
Right. Well, no, I saw him.
Yeah.
He had the rubber nose on.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the only thing that surprised me more than the fact that he was really dead was the fact that Captain and Tennille got a divorce.
Wow.
Chris, no, they did. I found that out. Like, love will keep us together. Didn't keep them together. I was very sad.
Did you know the ABBA
Chris,
folks
we need
were
to
all
have
married?
you on again.
Dude, I love that.
I do too. Kevin hates
Did you
him.
really?
Oh,
Chris,
yeah.
I just lost a little bit of respect.
Oh,
for you.
come on, man.
Not enough to matter.
Dude, I like disco, bro.
But just
disco's
anything
fun.
Disco,
Did you
like
really?
70s and 80s. Like if I could get off the train we're on right now, this nightmare of a train that we're living.
You mean the
right
crap
now,
music that
and dude, I would go back to live from 1980, 81 through 89 and then reset back to 80, 81. The 80s were freaking awesome.
Yeah,
man.
great music. It was original.
Dude, 8 tracks. I remember 8 tracks, bro.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I remember 8 tracks.
You can't be that much older than me. How old are you?
48.
No, you're younger than me. Okay.
Yeah.
He was paying attention.
Yeah.
Chris, hold on. This is your big decisive question that we can wrap tonight's show.
Oh, thanks, Kevin.
And I don't care what Paul says to you. I don't care how Paul tries to sway you. Just be honest.
Okay.
Who was better? Journey or Queen?
Oh gosh.
Journey or Queen?
Ooh. Wow.
I mean, the record sales clearly show it was Queen. 28 greatest minutes of music.
Man. I like.
Oh, shut up and let him answer.
All right, I like. I don't know, man. For me, I've got memories tied to Journey from when I was a kid, and so I'm going to go with Journey. When I was a teenager, I have memories. I have memories tied to Queen, but that's when they got popular the second time, right? So I'm going to have to go in their time, in their prime, probably Journey, and then when they had their resurgence, I would say Queen second.
Clearly a conservative political guy, because you just straddled the fence on that one.
Chris,
were you guys taking notes? That was like Beethoven, like that was Mozart right there.
Very
you guys should have been writing
diplomatic.
this. You guys should have been writing this down.
Yeah. No, not on that
so
one.
you know-
This is a fierce competition between Queen and Journey.
Yep.
In
Chris,
some
just so you
minds.
know, I have 2 tickets to see Journey and Def Leppard at T-Mobile Park in Seattle in September.
Nice.
And unless I find some woman who's desperate enough to be seen in public with me, which is doubtful, I will gladly extend you the ticket because you're a true Journey fan, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that, man. If I'm in town, I will definitely take you up on that. So I would love.
I'll give you the date.
He's freaking bribing the guy now.
I know. I offered to buy one of the tickets. I must be chopped liver.
That's okay. Hey, Kevin, thanks for calling in, brother. We love you.
All right. And so listen, my final thought is this, and I'll hang up, and you guys can do whatever you want to do. Pay attention to the filing deadline on Friday, and then do not miss Sunday's show.
Right.
Filing deadline Friday. Do not miss Sunday's show. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
It's not often you tell people to pay attention to the filing deadline.
Right.
And that's a hard one to sell in radio.
Yeah.
He did work for the IRS.
Yeah, I was going to say the IRS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kevin. We love you.
Not bad filing deadline.
Right. Good night, Kevin.
Good night.
Hey, Chris, I'd like to thank you very much for coming in tonight. In a lot of ways, this has been very educational. I've learned quite a bit, like the stuff that I geek out on and wanted to learn more about. So I absolutely appreciate it. What's with the little hand over the mouth laugh thing? That was
J. Andrew Kennedy.
What did he say?
He wants to see Tom's booty. He's got a thing about his boots, what footwear, what about the shirt and everything. Now he wants Tom to stand up and show his booty.
Tom.
I draw a line.
It's up to you, Tom.
I draw a line.
Good idea, Tom. Good idea.
Standards.
Tom is happily
There's
married.
standards around here.
That's right. So, folks, thanks for joining us tonight on the Outlaw Radio Network. We love you all and appreciate you. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the little bell so you know when the shows come up live.
Oh, merch drawing.
And when is the next merchandise drawing?
I don't know. We haven't said it yet.
Okay. So remember to share the show. Every time you share the show, you get entered into the drawing for free merchandise, as well as an opportunity to come sit in studio with us for an evening. So lots of fun. It's hard to imagine how much fun until you actually sit in here and take the abuse. But it's not that bad. It's not like hazing in high school or anything. So anyway, thank you all. Thank you, Chris. Very appreciated.
Man. I appreciate it.
Lori.
Yep.
Tom,
Thanks,
you guys got some
Chris.
last
Thank
words
you all.
there? Anything you want to say before the guillotine comes down?
I've had a dead mic all night. I'm along for the
Tom's
ride.
like, fuck it, man. I'm done.
Pay attention, educate yourself, vote accordingly.
There you go. Beautiful. Phil, you got any last words? No?
Drink,
Okay.
drink vodka and gin. It's that time of year.
Vodka and gin.
Vodka and
Okay.
gin
We're
per
bottling right
Tom.
now.
I think I'll. Okay, you're bottling right now. Okay, well, I'll pick some up in this weekend for Mother's Day and take some home. So, all right, guys, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night. Outlaw Radio Network. We're out. Peace. Bye.
Bye.